I'd like to call the Wednesday, December 18th, 2013 City Council meeting to order at 6:21 p.m. This evening, the invocation will be by Pastor Alexis Talbot, and followed by she's with United Methodist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, Vice Mayor Shelley, and the Police Explorers. Will we all please rise?
Blessing over this meeting. It is in your name that we pray. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Talbot, for the invocation tonight, and Vice Mayor and the Police Explorers for the pledge. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Williams?
Here.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Here.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Here.
Councilman Burgess?
Here.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Here.
Mayor Porter?
Here. Next item on the agenda is public comment. So at this time, I'll open the floor for anyone from the public that has a comment. Please come to the microphone.
Good evening. My name is Sidney Robinson. I live in 23515 Southwest 162nd Avenue in the Redland. Council members, mayor, city manager, city attorney, staff, citizens of the area. This past Saturday night, we saw South Dade Senior High School win the Class 8A championships for the state of Florida. Wasn't that wonderful? The coaches, the team, especially the offense coordinator at South Dade, gave South Dade a wonderful time to be in Florida, to be the state champion. We appreciate that. I have two ideas I would like to interest you all in our growing city. And first, Art South is looking for a home and has a limited income. This 13-year-old institution gives our city a cultural identity and education needs that a community thrives on. Art South is an arm of the city and needs a home, and a permanent one, I believe. Our church at Southeast 4th Avenue, sitting between Chrome Avenue and US 1, would be a great location. It is for sale and would be ideal as a turnkey relocation for our Arch South. It sits across a diagonal to the bowling alley and on US 1, and is across the street from a well-recognized charter school. This church and location could make this a unique area of arts and entertainment for locals and tourists to enjoy. Our board of directors would be willing to sell the church and property to the city of Homestead for a fair price and hold the mortgage at a good rate, a current rate. I feel this would be a good investment for the city, give Arch South a home, enhance the old part of downtown Homestead into an art and entertainment district. I think this could be a win-win for the city. Also, I have another idea to address, and that is the Truck Chrome Avenue bypass. If you have read in the South Dade News Leader last Friday of my proposal of movement of truck and tractor trailers off Chrome Avenue at Silver Palm Drive, that's 232 Street, and using the 100-foot right-of-way that FEC Railroad uses occasionally. A 2-lane road could parallel the tracks and go south to Florida City Farmers Market, turn left on Davis Parkway, then right on Chrome Avenue into the truck terminals. This truck route would also access industrial park land between Campbell Drive and Maury and help that dormant area to develop. The FD&E study stated in the South Dade News Leader recently stated that it was going to be a $52 million acquisition. That's a lot of money. And also what it would be doing would be destroying the looks of Chrome Avenue and Campbell on the corners there as it comes in. Campbell Drive meeting Chrome Avenue. Be a lot of areas that would be disturbed, and it would take away the beauty of our city. I believe this truck route, going the route that I told you, would be the ideal way to go, and I would hope that we could locate FEC. I know that is considered a high, I'm not really sure exactly, but it is historical. That's what it is. And that's what we have to work on, is the fact that it is historical. We'd have to convince FEC that we could use that. So keep that in mind when you're making a decision and helping the FDOT. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
Mayor and council members and Councilwoman Faircloth, I appreciate you responding to my emails today. My name is Donna Walker, and I'm here appearing before you and our community as a parent, as a child advocate, and as a teacher with Miami-Dade County Public Schools for 21 years. I am also the building steward for my work location. I'd like to invite and encourage all of you and every person within the sound of my voice to attend on January 17th a rally in downtown Miami entitled Walk a Mile in Our Shoes. It is the goal of the United Teachers of Dade to get as many feet on the street on January 17th at 2:30 p.m. to walk a mile in support of public education. At the end of the mile, we will have guest speakers, including Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, because we want our elected leaders to know in Tallahassee and locally that our public schools are important, that our children are important, that our teachers, our support staff, every clerical worker, social worker, and psychologist in our school system is important. We will meet at 1300 Biscayne Boulevard, that's parking lot C of the Adrian Arts Center, and walk a mile to support our teachers and our children. I'm addressing you all with a couple goals in mind. I'd like for you all to express your support of this endeavor. I'd like for you all to encourage city employees and anybody that you come in contact with between now and January 17th to attend, because there's not a single person in this room that does not know a child in a public school, and probably many of us know many folks who are working in public schools. I'd like for everyone within the sound of my voice to spread the word. Let everybody you know at your church, at your Kiwanis Club, at the Civitan Club, anybody you see, how important it is. Our public schools are in a crisis, but things are looking better financially, and we're hoping that maybe getting some attention to our cause will get some dollars flowing where they need to be in support of our students. I'd also like you all to give the okay for me to hang some posters advertising our rally in the different city buildings, including this one. And I think that really is the main thing I wanted to communicate. I also want to share with you what I do for the school system so that you understand the unique perspective that I have, as well as my colleagues, and there are about 20 full-time teachers who do what I do in the county. By definition, I am a hospital homebound itinerant teacher. And what that means is for 21 years, I have driven the highways and byways of Deep South Dade. I have driven through fields. I have driven through places with no street numbers. And I have taught children. I have taught children who, because of illness or injury, cannot go to school. Those horrible stories you see about children on the news who've been victims of gunshot wounds, been victims in horrible car accidents, those are the children I teach, in addition to children who have illnesses that are every parent's worst nightmare. And across the last decade, I have seen budget cut after budget cut after budget cut, which means these children have less access to services. The services that they do receive are a long time in coming, and what we have replaced with these services is testing. We are now testing 80 days out of the 180-day school year, and more tests to come. So I'd like for all of us, anyone who can hear me, to be there on January 17th, to walk a mile in our shoes, to show our solidarity for our children. And it was kind of a good timing, because the whole presentation at the beginning of this meeting was devoted to children and the work that people do here in this community. And at the end of the day, that's a measure of the kind of people we are, is what we can do with our kids. I've left my email address on the sign-in sheet. Anybody who would like to contact me, to coordinate, it's a long haul to downtown Miami. So if you want to coordinate, work it out with groups, if anybody can develop teams, we would be most appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you.
And can I hang my posters? Here.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Tracy McCain, and I represent New Visions for South Dade Incorporated. I am here this evening for two reasons. The first is to ask the mayor and the city council for the city of Homestead to rescind the required $5,000 bond required to hold special events in the city of Homestead. This request governs specifically the upcoming 2014 MLK Parade and Festival. The second reason is to announce that the 2014 Dr. Martin Luther King Parade and Festival will be held on Saturday, January 18th, 2014, beginning at 12 noon. The entire city council is invited to ride in the parade, and we will provide details for that shortly. Also, please note the following. This year's Grand Marshals are the Honorable Jeff Porter, Mayor of the City of Homestead, Keon McGee, State Representative for this area. We would like to thank you very much from New Visions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and community. My name is Rachel Garman, and I am the Associate Executive Director at the Homestead YMCA. I came on behalf of the YMCA this evening and my boss, Peyton Toon, to thank the City of Homestead for all of your support for a Jingle Bell run that occurred on this Saturday evening. We had about 300 runners come out, plus families, to participate in the event, and we could not have done it without you. So we are very, very thankful for all of the services that you provided, all of the support along the way. We're thankful for the police services, for the waste removal, also all the coordinating that Vice Mayor Shelley helped us with, as well as Dennis Maytan and Pedro Reynolds. Also to mention that they participated in the event and ran the 5K, and Councilman Burgess also. So we had a really, really great time out there, and we just want to say thank you to the city. This was a great event, first year. We had wonderful sponsorship. The race went out without any hitches, and we just look forward to growing and continuing to help bring events like this into our city and bring the community together. All of the proceeds from this event, which total about $30,000, go to benefit the YMCA's financial assistance program, which you may or may not know, the YMCA turns nobody away for their inability to pay. So this money directly goes to families in our community who are not able to afford memberships or programs at the YMCA, including swim lessons, basketball, flag football, soccer, preschool, and all of the many events and many programs that we offer at the YMCA. So if you know of any families that are in the area that are in need of services like that, please send them to the Y, because we are always there to help out the community and make sure that people can have access to health and wellness programs. So on behalf of the YMCA of Greater Miami and the Homestead YMCA, I'd like to present all of the council members with one of our finishers prizes, which was a ornament, and it is branded with the Homestead YMCA Jingle Bell Run 2013. So I have a box of those, and I will leave them over towards Dennis and Pedro so that you all can get them at the end of your meeting. And then any of the extra ones, please feel free to hand them out to any other key staff that might want to put a Jingle Bell Run ornament on their tree. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's the only way I'll get one of those.
Mayor, could we go back for a moment? The young lady that was up there for New Visions for the Martin Luther King parade, is she? Would you come back up? Because you asked and then you said thank you and left, and then we have to put it on an agenda for January.
Yes, Councilman, that's scheduled to be on the January agenda, and that should give us enough time. Typically, it's done at the January meeting, and it's been waived before, right?
Yeah, Pedro just got with her, so we're going to get the information. We'll put it on the agenda for January.
Okay, what date is our next meeting? Would that be on the consent agenda, or would it be on the cow?
Be on the cow, and it would be on
14th.
which is the 14th, and then it would be approved or rejected at the following meeting.
On the 14th?
At the council meeting, right? January 14th, it'll be on the cow as an agenda item, and then if it's moved to consent agenda, then it would be approved at the council meeting, which is
after the parade.
after the parade?
Yes, after.
All right, so you're gonna want to put it on as a special call item prior to at the cow. So it'll be as a special call item on the night of the cow.
Okay, that's what I was trying to double check, so that we're all on the same page. Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Next.
Hi, I'm Jessica from Chefs on the Run. Some of you know me. 10 East Maury Drive, Homestead, Florida 33030. I'm here for the usual reason of asking everyone to still support your local businesses in downtown Homestead and finding out what downtown Homestead needs and addressing it would be great for the community. Also, I'm here because once again, Chefs on the Run for the second year in a row has been invited to be part of South Beach Food and Wine Festival, which will have 8,000 visitors the day that we're invited. So I'm here because, of course, Chefs on the Run is excited, but we need to feed 8,000 people for free. So I have a budget, and I would definitely need help with it. One of the things that I want to do, like I did last year, is to have, instead of a brochure, which was more expensive, which would be a card, that would, City of Homestead, of course, would be on there. We want to put the link on Chefs on the Run's page. This trolley thing, I think, is amazing. Another thing I want to have on the page. What I want to target is everyone that we saw last year, like I said, everyone that we saw last year was amazed that there was somewhere to eat in Homestead that was besides for Chili's and Longhorn. And so to get them on that side of US 1, to make people aware that we're here, my mind was going as I saw the whole gateway to what the poster says. Because what I would like, in my proposal that I sent, and I think all of you did receive, hopefully, was I would like to have a banner on the table and have a banner on the back of us that encourages people to look into not only our website, but the City of Homestead's website to know what's going on. I think it's a great opportunity for us to be able to show those people that spend $500 per ticket to go eat. We made top 10 last year with 39 other restaurants, and we were the only restaurant from Kendall, Pinecrest, Homestead. Not even a restaurant from the Keys was there. So really it's a huge accomplishment, and I wanted to have a table there, but it's way over, it's unreasonable to ask for because it's a lot of money. So hopefully one day Chefs on the Run one day can afford to go by themselves, and then we can raise money for the City of Homestead to have a tourism table. But for now, budget-wise speaking, I need the help to be able to get there, and for the 8,000 people to be able to find out about Chefs on the Run and the City of Homestead. That's why I'm here. Also, Patricia, thank you for your contribution, first on board. That's it. Thank you.
Specifically, what are you asking for?
Did you get my proposal? No? Yes?
I
Yes.
don't know.
Well, the proposal has everything itemized. It has what the food is, and a rent-a-car, because we are going to rent a van to put all the food in and to go up on Sunday morning. And it would be a little under $6,000. That's our budget
So you're
for
asking
food.
for the city to do that, or
Well,
just
a
public?
contribution, public. It's for
contribution.
everyone. I'm also going to be, like last year, we had citizens come and help us and give us their time on Saturday. People gave us, instead of being able to rent a car, people gave us their truck. People helped us to get up there. The community really did help. That's the budget of what it is. Again, I don't need all of that. What I do need is the food, the banners, the brochures, the card stock. That way we're known that way, and we're giving the businesses to the business where we're getting food. It's all itemized there. Where we're buying it, how much it is, it's all local. We're going to be getting the banner and the business cards, the menus, everything through lithograph, which is, we used to use Minuteman Press, but that was last year. Also, creative threads would be the t-shirts and the hats, just like last year. That's pretty much it.
Where would, if someone wanted to help with the contribution, how would they do that? What is
They
the
would go and they can give it to, the checks are payable to Chefs on the Run. What I do, and someone asked yesterday, is I keep it in an envelope to Chefs on the Run, and I keep all the receipts in there, just in case anybody does go down. I can show them what the money was spent for. I will not put it in the bank until about February. So our deadline is February 17th to raise all the money. Again, we were invited last year. Part of the invitation was for us to be part of News Times. This year, we don't have to be part of News Times. This year, they said that it was crucial, and we have a copy of the letter. We posted it on our webpage and on Facebook, that it was the president of the South Beach Food and Wine Corporation that puts it together, said it's crucial for you to be there. You guys made a lot of ruckus, and we made top 10, which again is huge. So I would like some help with that.
Okay, well, I think that this will be played out, so as long as people know how to get a hold of you and send that, maybe we can do something else. I'll leave, the manager, the parks people. It's hard for us to commit to finances in the public discussion. To me,
Okay.
It's part of the process I think we should go through.
So how do I do it?
Well, I think you're asking the public's help as well as
Yes.
just the city. So
Yes.
that's the thing that I think we need to try to focus on. That it shouldn't always have to be just the city only. We do have a lot of other people that should support. So
Yes.
let us work on ways to get the message out for you, work with you,
Yes.
and hopefully we can raise money. And individually, we could raise money. I don't know how the council feels about committing the monies right now. It's hard to do this unless you want to get with the manager and see if you could put something on the agenda as a specific expenditure.
Well, I did essentially in November wanted to be part of the agenda, but I was told to please bring it up during public comments because you have a lot going on. And so that's why I did it this way instead of being part of the agenda. I did go that route, just so you know. I wasn't bold enough to come here and say, hey, I'm going to say it on public comments. I did try to go the route of being on public agenda, but I know that you guys have a full schedule.
Okay.
Okay?
Who did you speak to?
I spoke to your secretary, Torres, Mrs. Torres. I gave her the proposal.
We may have had too many presentations stacked up, and it probably got shuffled out. So my apologies.
And I was totally okay with that. She explained to me that she was very apologetic, and I said, I'm fine. I'll go public comments, but I wanted to make sure, since you brought it up, I did try to be part of the agenda. I just didn't.
And Mayor, the concern, what we would have, assuming this went through the system, is that it's a private business, and as you start using government money to support a specific business, it becomes somewhat of a gray area.
And that's the point, I guess, that I was trying to make. I mean, the council members have disposable PR money, and obviously you should reach out to the community because it is you are an asset to the community at large. So I think we can be a mechanism to get the word out for you, but I think it's, like, as the manager said, there's a lot of needy business. There's a lot of worthy businesses that once you open up that floodgate, it's hard.
That's perfectly understandable. I just said it just because I did do what I was supposed to do, but I'm here to do this part, and then I'm going to if you can get the word out, and I will be getting a hold of the news leader, but I knew that my first thing was to come here and to be part of the agenda and to get it on, but okay.
We'll work with you whichever way we can. Mike Dill's in the back of the room. Mike, wake up, Mike. Okay, there's your man right there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Through the mayor, if I can just
Yes,
add
ma'am.
something. I don't think what Jessica's doing is, I don't think she's asking the city to sponsor. What she did was she sent a request to all of us with different sponsorship levels, and if we would like to individually sponsor or give a contribution, then we have the autonomy to do that. But from what I gathered, that wasn't a request for the city to sponsor anything. It was just reaching out to us to support it.
I was trying to sum it up in 3 minutes because I know it's public comments.
We're not adhering to the 3-minute rule tonight, so as we can tell. So obviously the council members know, the ones with the discretion, the monies that have their own discretion. Obviously now the public has, also been informed. So let us see what we can do.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, and have a good vacation holiday. Bye.
Good evening, Mayor Porter, Council, Community. I am Barbara St. Aubin, and I'm representing This Is the Dog. For those of you who don't know us or who we are a nonprofit dog rescue and foster network here in Homestead. we'd like to invite everybody, we're partnering with the YMCA, to a Zumba party. That's party, P-A-R-T-Y. Any dog lovers, I hope, in the audience should come and help us out. All the proceeds will go to This Is the Dog. It's also a pet adoption day. If you're looking for a dog to adopt, we will have some dogs there. The YMCA is having a lot of specials that day too. It's January 11th, so after you go to the trolley grand opening on the 4th, you can come out on the 11th to our This Is the Dog event. The best thing about this event that we are proud of, we are bringing the MAC, the Mobile Animal Clinic from Miami-Dade Animal Services, to the event. It's a free spay and neuter clinic for the community. The Meowmobile, which is from the Cat Network, is also going to be there for cats. Now, the special thing about this MAC is that This Is a Dog arranged for it to be here, which is a big undertaking for our small rescue group of just volunteers. What we would like to ask on behalf of the community that so desperately need their dogs spay and neutered, most of the low income aren't able to do that, to perhaps work with Miami-Dade Animal Services and get the MAC in Homestead, possibly at the YMCA, once a month. This is on behalf of the community. If we could bring that to something that we can give consistency to for the community to know where they can go so they can get this done and help with the horrific overpopulation problem, dog overpopulation problem we have in our community. With that being said, if some of you aren't sensitive to the problem of all the euthanasia that's going on at Miami-Dade Animal Services, there's just healthy dogs being euthanized. Think about the money that's wasted on that. That's taxpayers' dollars. So if you're not sensitive to the part about the dogs, we are wasting money, our own money on that. Questions?
Mr. Burgess, you say?
Well, I would like to help them out. Many of the hours that are spent by my spouse. And I know it's a huge problem throughout the community. And I would like to ask this body if we could form some sort of letter where we could send a formal request up to Animal Services at the north end of the county and ask them if we could get this mobile animal clinic down here once a month, or at worst once every other month, because it does fill up within days, and there's a waiting list already for the one that's coming in just a few days.
Yes, Mr. Burgess, it is full. We've already filled up. There's 28, and we have 3 on the waiting list.
I mean, we have continuously heard activists come here and that bleed their heart out to us about the good things that they do for the animals, and I think that it wouldn't take much effort on our part to craft a nice letter, or maybe with some strong language in there of how the city of Homestead would like to have some help from Animal Services down here on a more regular basis. And I would make a motion to move it if needed, or whatever we need to do to see if we can get something written and have full support of the council.
Second.
Yeah, I support that 100%.
Vice Mayor, do you have anything to say?
No, I was just going to say that I support that I'd like to give the same direction to staff. So whether we vote on this motion or we just all give direction, either one.
I think the direction is clear. Mr. Manager, we want to craft something strong. We pay taxes just like everybody else. We're entitled to the services. So let us do it as strong as possible without, but we'll craft something and get it to them.
And please come out on January 11th. Support, the community, the YMCA. Again, it's a family fun day, so the kids can come and we'll be there. I'm going to put some flyers on the table outside if anybody wants more details. Okay? Thanks very much. You guys have a great evening.
Is anyone opposed to the council of crafting a letter? Thank you. Next. Thank you very much.
Mayor Porter, council members, I am Sabrina Pope, the senior pastor of Shallow Missionary Baptist Church at 606 Southwest 5th Avenue. I come personally to thank you all for your support and recognition for my pastoral installation service and the proclamation issued on November 24th. congratulations to you as well, Mayor. You congratulated me on that day, so I thank you. I also want to express a sincere thank you to all of you for your support of our outreach ministry. As you all know, our very own Sister Mallory here is very much actively involved in the city of Homestead. Thank you for your support for Thanksgiving. We were able to feed over 460 needy families and individuals. We also want to thank you for your continued support with the toy drive. All of you council members, mayor included, for your support, and we're looking forward to great works. I would like to extend a special thank you to Police Chief Al Rowe. Thank you for your ongoing support in the community, making sure that everything is safe around the church. And we look forward to doing additional services and support in the community with the children. We have things in mind that we would like to come back to the city of Homestead to expand some ventures, personally addressing the needs of the children in the community. So I thank you once again. God bless.
Thank you very much.
I am Alexis Talbot, the pastor at First United Methodist of Homestead, Florida, and I just wanted to take an opportunity once again to make the city of Homestead aware of our food pantry, Homestead Food Pantry. We have increased the number of people who are coming to the pantry. We're well over 500 families now. Last time I was with you all to pray and gave a report, we were at about 480. When I came here 4.5 years ago, my very first week I went to the food pantry, we were assisting 279 families. So here's what I'm asking. Those of you who are available and able to give food, we would love to be able to have that, and we are thrilled that we have a partnership with Feed South Florida and with other organizations, but it is the people of Homestead working together, as we've already heard, to make a difference in those who are in need. No child nor grandparent or person should ever go to bed hungry, and so I want to encourage that. The other thing I want to encourage is that the food pantry is open from 9 a.m. until noon every Saturday. And I want to encourage you to come and be a part of assisting and helping during that time. And then finally, if you are in need of food, I know the line is long, but we want you to come so that you can have some fresh vegetables, sometimes some meat, but certainly canned goods so that you can feed your family. Let us help you with that. So that's about our food pantry. Also, in this season of Christmas, our church wants to offer to the city of Homestead, especially those of you who do not have a church home, Christmas Eve service. And we have 5 o'clock service for children and family at First Church, and a candlelight service at 7 o'clock. And again, it is an opportunity to give. There will be offerings that will be received in that time, and they will go to making a difference in this community through the ministries of First United Methodist. That's 622 North Chrome Avenue. Thank you all so much. City Council, thank you for your heart and the work that you do. It's making a difference. Homestead's a great place to live. Thank you all so much.
Thank you also.
Kevin Sullivan, 1860 Southeast 6th Court. Mayor, I want to tell you something. Last Tuesday night's Committee of the Whole meeting, you shocked me. In a nice way. You stood up when an agenda item came up and you said that you weren't sure if there was a conflict, but you were going to recluse yourself from conducting the debate. In all the years I've come to the council, I don't recall that ever happening. Of course, at my age now, I could be forgetting some things. I'm not sure. But I do commend you. But what I want to know is, I looked up this online, and I found out there's an actual ordinance or a law and I think it's referred to as the Jennings Clause, but why hasn't the rest of the council members been made aware of it? For years, I used to see council members get up, go off, come back, go off. I always thought they were having trouble with their kidneys or bladder, but now I see that they're actually, by law, they were supposed to announce that they had a conflict and leave, not just walk off. So I commend you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Michelle Pedersen. I live at 29430 Southwest 172nd Avenue. I just wanted to encourage you. I'm excited about what was in today's paper in regards to an opportunity and an amazing vision to help our Homestead, our city, for potential growth, to bring in tourism with this iconic attraction. That excited me. As an investor and owner in property in downtown, I am so looking forward to what this year's going to bring. And I don't know if you had the opportunity to read Business Monday and what has taken place. And I'm sure you've read a lot and have heard in the paper of the tremendous growth in Doral. But in the paper it said that Doral needed a downtown. Doral needed a heart. And the heart of any city, it's its downtown. And we need a new heart. And I'm excited about this iconic attraction, but I also want to get back to what's been on the table and what's been discussed, and I know you're going to address it tonight, and it's still on the table, and I'm thankful for that, is bringing, what needs to happen is building the new City Hall on Washington Avenue. And I don't want you to give up that opportunity, because that is going to be the center and hub for civic community and activity, and bring a professional status, which is what we need. And I love what the downtown Doral did. I know that they had their different character traits and attributes, and City of Homestead has its own unique charm and urban soul, and I want to see that continue. And just don't give up on it. I know there's a lot of things. We need a new police station. We need the new City Hall. We have this wonderful attraction possibly coming. So let's do the right planning, make the right decisions. And I just want to encourage you, and I'm excited about what the future holds, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, that looks like all of the public comments, so we'll close that portion. And we'll move to additions or deletions, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, there's an item on the additions list dealing with the South Dade Senior High School's parade. You need a motion to add that to the agenda.
Is there a motion?
Move it.
Is there a second?
Second it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, report from staff, Mr. Manager, or whomever.
Mayor, there was a request to consider, to have this council consider sponsoring a parade for the state championship. And so we just wanted to make sure you were all okay with that. We attached the high-end costs for this, although we're hoping over time we'll be able to get some assistance with some of the neighboring jurisdictions. We think the maximum cost would be $8,500, but we think that might end up going a little lower than that. 500. And then also, I think we have agreement that we wouldn't cross over to US 1, and which would have raised our costs, but I think we're fine with that. And also on the issue of the date, we were just hoping to get some direction from you as well. Assuming you want to do the parade, then also it looks like this Saturday is a little too compressed for everyone, so we attached some of the events that are going on in January. And so if you want to do the parade, if there's any kind of direction you'd like to give us on a proposed date for that as well.
Is there any discussions from council?
Sure, through the mayor. On this past Saturday, I'm sure that the entire Homestead community either sat in front of their televisions or was in the Citrus Bowl rallying for South Dade Senior High School and witnessing them pull away from Apopka and pull off the Class 8A state championship. Congratulations, South Dade. I was so excited myself as a former Buccaneer in 94 and 95. And in addition to that, almost a couple of those boys on that team, I was their teacher, so I was really excited about that. So minutes after that victory, several parents on that booster club reached out to me with excitement requesting a parade in the city. So I pledged to them that I will work towards making that happen. I understand that South Dade Senior High School's physical address is not in the city of Homestead. However, be it noted that students that reside in the southwest section as well as the northwest section, South Dade is their home school. If you poll the community, you'll find that there are several of our local pioneers who attended South Dade Senior High School, because before there was a Homestead Senior High School, there was South Dade. So there is an intrinsic motivation to celebrate these students' success beyond the fact that that school is not located within our municipality. So if it is the will of this council, I think it's a worthy cause for us to pull off for these boys and girls, because they shed a lot of light on Homestead and they really put us on the map. And I think if we come together collectively as a team to pull this off and not one individual person, I think that we'll do this community justice, but more importantly, we'll bring these boys some very well-deserved recognition. So I'd be interested in hearing what my colleagues have to say about this, because if it is the will of this council to move forward with this, I am willing to do everything that I can to see it make it happen. There are several businesses that reached out to me and said that they are willing to financially support this cause to defray some of the costs for this $8,500. And I think that's a good thing, because this should be a collaborative effort. City of Homestead should not bear the brunt of the cost, but we should all come together collectively as a community to pull off this great event for South Dade Senior High School. So I'd be interested in hearing comments from my colleagues as far as making this happen for South Dade.
Anyone? Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations to South Dade. I know those young men and the entire staff and the entire faculty and student body are thrilled over there. I'm just wondering, I see on Saturday the 11th we have an event downtown already. And I'm wondering if we can possibly tie in some kind of pep rally to go with that. That would help keep the cost way down, and we honor each one of those men up on the band shell or something like that. As I just looked at that, that was an idea that popped in my mind, that would there's an opportunity for people to have food and gather around and have a pep rally type atmosphere that's already planned, and maybe we could build it and make it bigger and all that, and that would help to keep the cost to a minimum as we move forward. So that was just an idea that I had as I looked at the events that are coming up. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. My only concern, again, is cost. I think that's the only concern that I really have. I think that it's good to bring the community together. I don't have an opposition to the parade itself. I congratulate South Dade and all the hard work they put into the season and the ultimate victory that they got with the state championship. But my concern is just making sure that we have a reasonable cost. If we can get some community partners or businesses to come in and help sponsor the event, I think that'd be great. Maybe get the county, maybe get the school board. Really, if we can get all of these organizations to pitch in, then I think you're right. I think we can put on a good event and not have it cost a lot of money or not have unbudgeted expenses. So that'd be my only concern. And my second is also staff related. Just making sure, I know our Parks and Rec staff has had a lot of events that they've been putting on over the last couple of months. I know that they were also being stretched a little thin. So I just want to make sure that even though we have a maximum cost, I'd also like to maybe somehow establish a fixed hours for those staff as well, to make sure that we don't burn them out either. So that'd be my only two concerns.
In terms of the staff hours, we're comfortable with the projections that we gave you, so that would be, we're assuming a maximum of what was on that paper, and as long as you're comfortable with that, staff is ready to follow your direction, and if you want to do it, we'll get it done.
Thank you.
Mr. Maldonado?
Yes, thank you. Congratulations to South Day Senior High School. Well deserved. Thinking, just hearing and knowing this was coming before us, I quickly just thought of reaching out, and I think Vice Mayor just mentioned where we could reach out, make sure that we reach out to the school board as well as our local commissioners, both Bell and Moss. I know that Bell she's the sports commissioner for Miami-Dade County, so I know, I'm assuming, there's no? Has been defunded? Scratch that, what? So nonetheless, definitely reach out to them. I'm sure she has some monies as well. Both Moss and Linda. Thank you.
Ms. Wallman?
I was very excited, and I don't know, I know Faircloth went there 94, 95. Well, I'm not going to tell you what year I went there, but I graduated there. And it was the only school. We didn't have Homestead Senior High. I think Homestead Senior High came about like 1979, I want to say, 79. So it was the only school. It was the only school we had to go to. And I was a proud student there, and I think we need to do this. I agree. I hope that the school board and the county pitches in, because they should feel the same pride and respect that we all do. My phones have been off the ringer. Actually, I had to have U-verse out yesterday because all my phones broke in my house. People were calling me. It wasn't for that reason, but people were calling me like crazy, wanting to know what we're going to do, what we're going to do, what we're going to do. My only regret is that on the 11th, Vice Mayor Shelley and I will be out of town. And I really want to be there because it is my school. So, but if I can't be there, I understand. But I know we need to do something. Did you go to school there, Elvis? Okay.
Miami Southridge.
But I see a bunch of people out here that went to school there almost same year I went, so. But I support it.
Let me just ask a couple of logistics questions. I called the principal on behalf of the mayor and the council and congratulated South Dade for victory, and we got into the fact that the question was going to be posed to this board, to this group, as to whether or not we would fund or potentially fund or work towards a parade. And I think that the consensus probably is we want to do that. We haven't had any official vote, but I think we all want to do something. The problem I think that the principal had was the question of the timing. And so if we're, obviously he couldn't, in his mind, put it together by this Saturday. He's got children's waivers to have signed and a lot of things that he logistically could not do. So if we wait until after the break to come back, when the schools are back in session, we get very bunched up and limited in our access to the facilities that we would be able to use. And it looks like at this point, if we did the road closure and did it down Chrome Avenue, would it interfere with the Main Street event at Losman Park on the 11th? See, these are the things that I'm not really sure about from a logistics point of view, because then you start getting into the Martin Luther King breakfast, you get into the Martin Luther King parade, and it's just one event after another. Next thing you know, we're into February, late February, which, at that point, the buzz is gone. So can you help us, assuming we haven't even voted on whether or not the funding is there, I think we should reach out to the community. I think this is a community event, and if the city steps up and makes the commitment for X number of dollars, as private dollars come in, we should be able to decrease our commitment. Fair enough? Okay. So, but I guess let's talk for just a brief second about what can we do with the facilities that we have.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, class of 1984, South Dade, graduated.
Hoorah.
Love that school. The Main Street event on the 11th, that's usually at night. If we do a parade during the day, just, we could do that if we do it in the morning time. Also, to answer some other questions, it also depends on how much the city wants to get involved in, because that's also a cost issue. If we're going to do it all, then it could add on more costs. Are we just going to do the road closure and it's open up the Harris Field for a pep rally? Then that's what we were more or less were doing, hoping that the school would help out with everything else. But I think that's why I sent a memo out to you all today, was to let you know what we do have pending on us right now. And if you notice, a lot of the days we have Sundays available, but I know Sundays is probably a little tough for some people. But if we do shoot for the same day that the Main Street has, which is the 11th, we could probably do that in the morning time. But the other events, you don't want to make it where it's too many events going on, because then maybe a lot of people won't show up.
So the funding that's proposed, the $8,000, that's basically the cost to close the road, put up the barricades, pay for the police officers, and basically at that point walk away. There's no structure to do any planning, staging, none of that, correct?
No, although it also includes the event at the field, having a police presence there, and the typical thing.
But not planning the event at the field and not actually planning the parade, just providing the normal services?
Mayor, to answer your question, when I did the budget on, pretty fast, was what we looked at was the 4 hours to help the police do the closure, to pick up the park and the streets, and then to open up the park at Harris Field and have staff there to help clean up and watch everything.
But also our expectation was staff is likely to be part of the planning process, but it won't be on overtime, it won't be on weekends, it'll be folded into their duties during the daytime.
Okay, so that number's kind of included in this to help put the parade together and
Yeah, we won't be charging for the cost of during the work hour, because they're already getting paid, but for the what's on the sheet is basically additional cost because it's overtime, it's after hours.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, Mayor raises a good point, or a good question. So although staff may help in some of the logistical planning of the actual presentation and pep rally, et cetera, the actual pep rally will not be put on by the city, is what I'm hearing. So we're providing the infrastructure to allow for this event to occur, but the actual event will have to take either South Dade or the school board or some other entity will come in and actually plan the actual pep rally portion. That's what I'm hearing, correct?
Through the mayor, if I could just add.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sure if we move forward with this, you'll have a community of stakeholders that would want to form a committee to plan it. I can plan a pep rally if it's necessary. So I think the concern with staff having to do the planning and all the logistics, I'm sure we can form a committee, just like we form a committee for everything else, to plan the parade and the pep rally portion of it.
And whatever staff's involvement is during the day, and I'm sure there will be some, that wouldn't add to the cost, because we're not incurring additional costs. The sheet of paper really is just for the things that would happen where overtime would be involved.
So, were you finished?
Yes.
So tonight we really don't have to pick the date. That's going to have to be coordinated through the school, through the principal, through the administration. But we do have to decide as to whether or not we're going to commit to the dollars.
Well, if you're okay with it in concept, and you're okay with the dollars in concept, then what we'll do is we'll know that that's our cap, and then as the event gets going, we'll try to get it down as best as we can. And as far as the date, we'll work with all the stakeholders to see if there's a date in particular, unless of course you all said you wanted it on Saturday, in which case we were ready to go for Saturday too, but it sounds like we have consensus on doing it after the year. That's fine. We'll work with everybody and just make sure there's a consensus on date.
Well, my comment was based on the principal's discussion. Was basically, he didn't think he could get it done.
Right.
Ms. Wallman, did you?
Yes, I just had a quick question. The Florida Kings football, what time do they play?
The Florida Kings, Councilwoman, they usually use the field all day. What they do is do practicing, and then they play games. So it's more or less an all-day event for them.
I was just trying so that I could be there, but I guess we won't be there.
Well, obviously, you can make reference to some of the council members being unavailable for the 11th and work with the school. So, sure. Any other discussion? Because at this particular point, we kind of know where we are. Is there a motion to move
For the mayor,
forward?
if I can just continue, our options, we don't have a lot of options for January because 18th is that MLK parade,
Yes.
and the 25th is the rodeo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So January is very limited. In February, you kind of lose the whole momentum of the moment. So it looks like the two available dates are January 4th or January 11th. So I think we need to kind of coalesce behind a date and then propose it to the principal to see if it's feasible for him, as opposed to moving on, having you go back and forth. So let's just coalesce around the date, reach out to the principal to see if it's feasible for him, and then we can form a committee to plan it and a committee to fundraise, because personally, I don't think $8,500 is a huge amount of money to celebrate something that's been 60 years in the making. I'm sure all of us have contacts that we can reach out to help even exceed the cost, but we need to hunker down on a date, reach out to the principal, form a committee, and make it happen.
Councilwoman Faircloth, to let you know, when I talked to the athletic director this morning, he was telling me that they were looking at after January 6th because the kids come back to school. On January 4th, we have the trolley ribbon cutting at Losner Park. So I heard you said January 4th, so I wanted to let you know. And the athletic director did tell me that he's been talking to, I guess, Principal Perez, and they were looking at after January 6th.
So there you go. We have January 11th.
11th is the only one that...
Reach out and see if it's okay.
That was what I was going to point out, was that exact conversation, so I'm good.
Anything else, Mr. Faircloth?
No, I guess once we determine whether or not January 11th is a great day for them, then we can form a committee. I'm sorry, Councilwoman, you won't be there. You're a Buccaneer also, but I'm sure event planner extraordinaire, you'd be more than happy to be a part of the committee to chair this, to make it happen for our community.
Mayor, I'll be happy to help in any way. I'm sitting here looking, okay, January 5th is a Sunday afternoon, this could work, and then Dennis says that, and I'm going, oh, well, that's there that goes. But, you know what, in reality, I think that if they knew a parade was happening, they would get the word out, and the word would spread, because, I mean, the phone calls that I'm getting is just crazy. So, but I'll be happy to help you in any way I can.
So let's someone make a motion to try to make the 11th, and let's talk and see what the motion is with as far as the funding, and encouraging staff and other people to help us bring in other sponsorship, and the committee as well,
Yes,
bringing in other sponsorship. So is there a motion from someone?
I move it.
Is there a second? It's properly moved and seconded. Any other further discussion?
Does that include a cap of $8,500?
That's why you know what the motion is before I vote.
Okay, is that caps us at $8,500, and we draw down from that as we get sponsorship?
Yes.
Is that okay with you in a motion? Second? Okay. Okay, Mr. Vice Mayor. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item is the consent agenda, tab 1.
Move it.
Second.
Any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, we got one deferral on there. The tab 12 is being pulled and being moved into...
As a separate item.
As a separate item. So everybody got that, tab 12?
Mayor, I recommend that it be put back on the consent agenda.
We have no objection to that, Mayor.
I'll second.
So it goes back into the consent agenda? Any further discussion? Okay, so we'll move the entire consent agenda, including tab 12. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So now, what's next item?
Public hearings, ordinances, land use items.
Mayor, did you want to do 30? You had said there was a request.
Oh, I'm sorry. We wanted to move the last item, which is tab not the last item, I'm sorry, the bowling alley question.
30.
Tab 30. So there was a request to move tab 30 up. Is there any council discussion on opposing moving tab 30 forward? Okay, so we will move tab 34 now. And again, as I did before, I will announce there is a potential conflict, so I will leave and turn the chair over to the vice mayor.
All right, tab 30, card number 1037, item for discussion, sale of bowling alley to Elite Real Estate Investments, LLC. I'll turn it over to staff for a report.
Vice Mayor, the contract is before you. This item is as a discussion item, although if there's consensus to move forward on the item tonight, you can make a motion with a second to approve the contract tonight. And there were two outstanding items. One was a criminal background search, and city attorney has advised me that everything is clear. And then the second issue was the parties haven't signed it yet, but I'm assuming whoever's here, are you here tonight, by the way? Would you guys mind just coming up? We just want to make sure, have you signed the contract, or last we heard there was no signature on the contract, so that's the only outstanding item, but other than that, we're ready to roll if you are.
Through the Vice Mayor.
In that case, yeah, I'll open it up for discussion.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
All
Councilwoman Berkel.
May I?
Yeah, go ahead, sorry,
Okay,
yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Regarding this agenda item, there's something that's been kind of gnawing at me. And as a council, we're moving forward with doing things fairly and impartially without any perception of things being done the wrong way. And not to say that how we arrived at this point was not a fair way. In thinking in retrospect, it wasn't the formal way. And Gemma, since you're there, with this process, there wasn't a formal solicitation of proposals for this, am I correct?
No, there was not.
You kind of reached out to potential investors?
That's correct.
And asked them to kind of put in a proposal for the project?
Yes.
And as a result of the project, and Elite Real Estate did a phenomenal job with their proposal and their product, and I was very impressed with it. However, well, as a result of that, there are some other investors that came behind and were interested in the project, and I'm not really fond of people that are reactive as opposed to proactive, but with me, I like to do things either black and white, no shades of gray. So I would like to request, and I would like to hear feedback from council, if we can just have an RFP process for 3 months, make it a level playing field. Elite Real Estate can submit their proposal again, amend it, and I know it's unfair to them because they went through, you know, their process and negotiated in good faith, and I'm very sensitive to that. But my conscience is my moral compass, and I like to do things, as my mom would say, decency and in order. So I would like to request or see how the council feels about this, to open up an RFP for 3 months, solicit proposals for the sale of for the purchase of this facility for bowling for a minimum of 8 years, and then see if there are other proposals that come about. Elite may have the best proposal again, but in that way, it's fair, it's impartial, and it's to the letter. So how do my colleagues feel about that?
And I was going to ask, are you making a motion at this point to see if there's a second, or are you just wanting discussion?
Well, first, I just want a discussion on how you feel about that, but I will be putting forth a motion for a 3-month RFP process. 3 months is not going to hurt us from this point to 3 months later, just to do it formally as we're doing with the City Hall site. We're considering throwing out those bids and doing it over. So I don't think that's unreasonable to request, but just want to know how you feel about it.
Councilman Burgess?
I'm going to use one of Vice Mayor Shelley's lines. For clarification, you said for bowling, so you would limit the RFP to bowling alleys only, not as a gentleman proposed, some other things of a family activity center or that there? Or so your proposal would be only for a bowling center
Through the Vice Mayor.
to take that over?
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
I am committed to bringing back bowling to this community. The community have asked for bowling, I think it's a great request to bring those recreational activities to our community, and I'm committed to bowling. So
Okay.
that's what my request would be for
I
bowling.
just wanted to be clear what you were speaking of.
3
Thank
months
you. Thank
RFP.
you.
Any additional comments from council?
With all due respect.
No, I know.
This property has been on the market for so many years, never stopped anybody, and tell me if I'm wrong, Gemma, it's never stopped anybody from calling and inquiring. I mean, I can go back many, many, many years that, you know, we've had interest. We've had people, you know, wanting to know more about it. We've had inspection processes, and I was so excited to come here tonight and vote on this because I've never seen anybody more qualified and anybody more committed and anybody who has so much invested in that corner of, well, it's not a corner, but that portion of US 1. So I'm not in favor of that, with all respect, but I just think anybody's had the opportunity, and it's always strange to me how, you know, people jump in at the last minute
Right.
without any regard or respect for the people who've been working on the process for a very long period of time. So I'll hold the rest of my time.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilman.
Gentlemen, tell me, have we had a RFP before on this property?
No, we have not.
So we've never had, since you've been here, we've never had one.
Jerry's got some...
Jerry,
Through the manager,
I
Mr.
remember, I thought we did, but we
Yeah.
haven't?
In 2009,
Right.
January of 2009, there was an RFQ,
Okay.
which was for the straight purchase of the property. There was one respondent, and it was thrown out. Somebody wanted to open a church.
Mhm.
It was looking for, if I recall correctly, they were looking for more of a donation of the property.
Right.
Subsequently, there was an invitation to negotiate. Basically, that was in 2010 in June, and that was a come one, come all, bowling alley, school, whatever you want to do. There were 2 respondents. Their proposals were lacking, as well as there was a conflict with a city employee. There was a conflict of interest, so those proposals were thrown out at that point.
Yeah. No, I'm in favor of continuing with this group here that's been doing the work. I'm pretty sure they spent some money already in the process. So I think we've already talked with them, and the only thing you said left is signing the paperwork, George.
Yeah, I guess to express my opinion as well. I appreciate Councilman Burgess's question, because that would have been my clarification question as well, is whether or not it would be limited to bowling or not. You know, I think I've stated a couple times, I think I'd like to put this thing out to RFP for any use, bowling or otherwise, just to see what options are out there, see what gets proposed. So I'd be more apt to encourage that type of RFP that would also allow bowling, would also allow additional uses, just to see, could we get fair market value, could we get some other product, and at the end of the day, if we decided bowling was where we wanted to go, we would still have that in the mix. However, as everyone knows, I'm always for a process, I'm always for, you know, making sure that it's a fair, just like you stated. So I would support a motion made to put it out to RFP for 3 months to see if we got some better offers or some better deals, even if it was strictly limited to bowling, knowing that unless it was a much better offer, you know, I still would like to see, you know, maybe a non-bowling restricted RFP. But that's my position on this particular case. Any other comments from?
Vice Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilman Maldonado.
It's a question to Jerry. We had this invitation in 2010. How long was that out for?
I want to say about 30 days, maybe 45 days.
Okay. I'm still in favor for, you know, since there's no changing of, you know, it's going to be restricted to bowling. You know, I don't want to go through the process again. I think this is ready to go. I'm comfortable with how it's set up now, and in all due respect, I know that, you know, you want to be fair, but I think, you know, we've gone through this a few times already, a couple of years, and I want to start seeing things get done. And so I'm in support of leaving it as is and voting on it tonight. That would be my opinion.
Thank you. I guess mine is a totally different reason for not being in favor. As we move forward, and the police station is getting ready to be vacated here in the near future, as they've been out looking for places. And Lieutenant Bell, I see you back there. Perhaps you could work your way up to a microphone so I can ask you a couple of questions, please. Because I think we need to look at a broader picture. With the police station being on its way, having exceeded its life, we are looking at a large number to build a new police station or to rent temporary space. And as we go forward down that road, we're going to be looking for land to buy. And I think that that site over there is a perfect site, at least in the back quarter of it or back half of it for a police station. And I think I asked you to also do some numbers over there to run that building as a temporary house or as a full-time house. Because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the numbers that you've come up with just for temporary housing are $8 to $10 million approximately, with the buildings that you've come up with as a swing space to convert and rent what's available in the city of Homestead?
Point of order.
Rent a property, and that we're in there anywhere from 2 to 4 years, and assuming really about a 4-year period that we would move in temporarily. And the costs run typically for most sites about $8 million between the build-out cost, the lease payments, and all of the costs involved.
And that's for a temporary facility that we would be in for 2 to 4 years, correct?
Yes, sir, temporary only.
And when you went and looked at the bowling alley site and what it has to offer, what kind of numbers were you able to, I mean, this isn't an exact science because nothing is at this point, but could you give us an approximate number of what would make that a complete police station that could be used for a while?
We looked at it 2 different ways. It's got about a 50,000 square foot floor plan on it, and we would need to strengthen it for hurricanes. The walls are only sheet metal, so we would need to address all that.
Right.
The 2 different methods we looked at were actually using it as is with the first story only and keeping the cost very minimal, and you're looking at about $8.3 million to build it out.
Okay.
Our preferred would be to add a second floor within it, a space on the back of it, and do some other modifications, and that would run you about $13.5 to $14 million.
Okay.
Ballpark kind of costs.
Thank you. And I bring this point up because I'm all for bowling alley and entertainment in the city. My point is that the city is going to be looking for land in the near future for a police station and to grow. And here we are with a piece that we're getting ready to give away that I believe, and I believe in what you're going to do over there. I do. I just don't believe in the price that we're giving it away, or not giving away because we're not selling it to you for. And I understand the restrictions that are on it, and the restrictions that you have agreed to do. But I'm just looking at a bigger picture in my mind as to where we are as a city and where we're going and what's going to happen to us down the road.
Vice
And that's
Mayor.
where I'm at. Thank you.
It's a small point, but I just want to be on the record with this. The numbers that you just heard, I can't endorse those because we don't have architects and engineers crunching them.
I fully understand
I heard a
that.
lot of numbers right now that I'm, not comfortable with, so just...
That's why I said ballpark.
Okay.
Just give me something that you've worked, worked with.
And what I'd
just
like-
and I'm not going to hold anybody to any of them. It was discussions that I had as I try to look at a bigger picture and where the city's headed and where we are on this as I try to justify one to the other.
Right, and what I'd like to do at this point is, this is a discussion item, so it's kind of where we're going with this is exactly what was intended, and that is let's discuss what our options are. But at this point in time, or at some point, somebody needs to make a motion to narrow down our topic of discussion. Are we making a motion for an RFP such that we're looking into an RFP process, or are we going to be making motions to approve, disapprove? So at some point, we need to put a motion on the table to narrow down what our discussion is, so then I can open up and the applicant can address, and the public in general can address where we're going with something. So at this point, I'd ask for some direction.
Through the Vice Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
I really respect everyone's thoughts. I really do. And I thank you for being candid and how you feel about this. The last RFQ was in 2010 for about 45 days. Am I correct?
I just checked. It was about 30 days.
About 30 days. Well, it's 2013, and it seems to me that there's a larger appetite for this property and for investing in it. So I don't think 3 months is going to hurt us if we just formalize the process. Not to say that it wasn't fair, it just wasn't formal. And I understand that you're probably boiling, Dr. Sanchez. I get that. I think you brought forth a great product. But I just would feel comfortable if it's a formal process. Bring back your proposal, amend it if you want. Voted this motion up or down. I respectfully recognize the right of the majority to govern. But I would like to put forth a motion that we put it out to RFP for a 3-month period for bowling. So if this is something you support, vote it up or down and we move forward.
Do I have a second for that motion? I'll second the motion for discussion. Any discussion on this motion from council?
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, Councilwoman Walton.
Just you're saying that you contacted investors to come and look at this property as a potential bowling alley?
That's correct.
But I would venture to guess that not every person that come forward were people that you contacted.
That's correct.
But that's my point. And the point is that it's always been there for sale. We've always wanted to sell the property. It isn't something that we just thought of overnight. It's something that, and pretty much I think most of us are committed to bowling because that's what we've always talked about, and that's what the people they told me that. As I knock doors, as I meet with people, they tell me that. And the point I wanted to make was that it didn't need to go out for an RFP because people came to you. They came to you. And now we're here. And you know, I don't know, again, I respect everybody's opinion, but you know, I would hate to lose this opportunity that we have before us. So I cannot support this.
You can call the question.
Or open up to the
you can
public.
call that question if you'd like.
Yeah, you want to speak on this issue, or?
I do, but your motion's on the table properly. If you want to call that question, it's up to you. Or you want me to discuss first?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'll call the question. It doesn't look like we have the support probably for it, but if no other comments from council,
I hate to insert myself here, but this is more of like a process problem that I see coming here, and that is that I've heard majority of you say that you want bowling. And 3 of you said that you like this proposal. Unfortunately, one of the 4 of the majority that want this to be a bowling alley saying that they need an RFP process. The danger of voting no on the RFP, and then the next vote, I'm assuming, would be on this contract. If that's no too, my fear is that there's going to be, then we're going to be in a limbo here. So I would just encourage you all to think through what the 3rd step is here before you do the 1st step, because if the 1st step is no, and the 2nd step is no, I just don't know where we're headed. And so for those of you who want the bowling alley, I would suggest that may be the avenue that's only available to you at this point. On the other hand, if you don't like that and there's not 4 people for this proposal, that's okay too, but I just wanted to kind of give you a sense of what the problem with the 3rd step is.
right, because for clarification, what you're saying is that if we vote on this motion and it fails, and then the next motion made is to approve the contract as is, and it ends up being a 3-3 vote, it fails.
Right.
And so we have nowhere else to go but make additional motions, and who knows which direction. So,
right.
And I understand that. Does my colleagues understand that as well? Okay.
I'll be
With that,
happy.
If there's no other questions and the public doesn't wish to speak, anybody else from the public?
I'll
wish
be
to
happy
speak?
to speak if you'd like to discuss
Go
it.
ahead.
With all due respect, this project has been on the table, if you will, since 2002. That was your staff's, I think, best recollection of how long it's been empty at the last council meeting. The idea that this was not properly advertised or properly before the public, if you'll check your minutes, in 2007, there was a discussion about actually doing an auction, a live auction on the property. So it was very, very vocally discussed at that point in time. for your staff to say that there was not a formal process, I think that tainted this entire discussion, because there have been 3 formal processes. An invitation to negotiate is a formal process. A discussion in 2007 to actually auction the property is a formal, open, communicative process. And then lastly, was the one that the gentleman just pointed out, was a formal process as well. You'll recall you had the Kaufman group that was before you. You all unanimously voted for that contract, and that was by far inferior than the contract, and that's actually substantiated by your attorney and your manager, inferior to what you have before you, including bowling now. You had the Sergio Rock look-see, if you will. It was the exclusive right for him to look at the property for so many days, taking it off the market. And then I believe you had a third party that was here vying for the property, as we discussed in the beginning several months ago when we were favorably asked to negotiate. Then last week, or excuse me, the last meeting, the committee of the whole meeting, you had Allen Investments come forward and speak to the property about doing an indoor soccer field and the like. And I believe you all received an email, or if not, the manager can read that for you, because I know the manager received it, from that group just today, saying that the work that we have done, the contractors we have lined up to turn the key tomorrow, the subcontractors that we have lined up to do the structural inspections that can begin tomorrow, they were not able to match that competitiveness, and they support our group. You have another group that came forward that was talking about putting the police station there. And while I can put my historic hat on as mayor of this town, I always looked at using city resources as frugal as possible. However, a city police station in this location, you have right behind you one of the larger apartment complexes in the community next to it. You have a trailer facility, trailer park to the south of it that's a residential, pretty significant residential park. And you have one of the most commercial corridors. A police station from a traffic point of view and from a logistics point of view would be very, very difficult to locate there and have your planners not pull their hair out. So I would suggest that before that kind of haphazard discussion is had, you really kind of let your planners look at that, and you have enough industrial land and other land areas that are away from residential components and your commercial corridors that would allow for a substantial police station, and one that you can be proud of for years to come, not this willy-nilly moving around and making do. I see tonight that you have a motion to pull the City Hall project off the table. I mean, if we can continue to study things over and over, and Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick, I understand your concern about process, but I submit to you that there has been a process, and maybe the communication or the miscommunication kind of guided you some way, but at that point, if you're going to put it out for 3 months for bowling, we've already got Brunswick, they're lined up and ready to go. I mean, we've already flown their architects here. So while I'm kind of dumbfounded that at this level or this discussion or at this time in the game that we're even contemplating putting it back out again and once again stalling the people of this community. I mean, you have Michelle Pedersen, who mentioned just a few moments ago about investment in downtown and getting things started and this iconic tourist event. Well, I submit to you, move forward. But you got to move forward. We can again study over and over and over again, and you say just 3 months. Well, 3 months, this gentleman, this investor, this person may be down, have another investment or something else that he's looking at. Right now, we are at the table and literally could sign the contract tonight with the most vested person involved. And in fact, I believe, Councilwoman McCormick, that were your words in one of our discussions. So I would submit to you that we're here, we're ready. It's the best process for the city. It gives you exactly what you want, and there has been a process. In fact, the trust group, and I forgot the name of the group, came forward because of the Sergio Rock deal. When that was terminated and allowed to negotiate, they came forward and met with us at first to do the deal and to build a bowling alley. Unfortunately, their numbers didn't jive and their commitments weren't as significant as ours, And what you have before you is one of the most binding contracts that you'll ever get in front of you. So I would respectfully urge you all to move forward with the bowling alley. This city needs progress, and you know, there has been a lot of confusion with the past mayor, and I don't see that anymore. It's kind of a breath of fresh air. So let's move forward, please. I strongly urge you to do that.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you.
Just for the record, again, every time I hear something that I feel we need as staff to just correct a record, I think the question about process is really a formal process depends on how you define a formal process, and some of the things that occurred, the last couple of rounds were informal, meaning proposals came in and then we bunched them together and they made presentations. Some may consider that a formal process, some may consider that an informal process. One question that was asked of us was there ever an RFP done, a request for proposals? Some see that as a formal process. The answer is there's never been a request for proposal done. If you consider an RFQ, a request for qualifications, if you consider that a formal process, then the answer would be yes. And Jerry, what was the other one? An RFP?
Invitation to negotiate.
Invitation to negotiate, if you consider that. But in terms of the question, was there an RFP? No. Were the last couple of rounds as a consequence of a solicitation that went out to a broad group of people and brought back and then evaluated? No. On the other hand, they did come here and make a presentation. So I just want to make sure the facts are clear.
Mr. Vice Mayor, may I add to that real quickly?
Really quick, because I want
Yes.
to call this vote so we can keep moving forward.
Yes, sir. I agree with Mr. Manager. An ITN, if the attorney can define that, an ITN is a formal process, invitation to negotiate. It's formally advertised, formally requests for a discussion with the public. An RFQ, request for qualifications, is a extremely formal process. That, in fact, is done on many occasions when the ultimate outcome is not known at that point. You just want to solicit and get the best input you can publicly. So those two are extremely formal processes. When you ask people to come and present, yeah, that's not a formal process. But I submit to you, if you look up in the true definition of process, those are formal processes that are used by procurement departments around the county and the country all the time.
And I don't want to pass judgment. I just wanted to make sure each of those...
I just want to be very clear that those are very formal. It's not vague. That's not black-gray. It's very black and white.
Let's stop the back and forth if we can. Councilwoman Waldman, real quick.
One last comment, and with all due respect, Ms. LeGrand, I'm really not interested in hearing about another proposal tonight, but okay. What troubles me most is that, and again, I'm sure you just got your information, but I wish we would have had this discussion a long time ago. And this is what happens. This is what discourages people to want to do business with our city, because I thought we were ready to vote, up, down, whatever. I just thought we were ready to vote. And I don't want to see this happen, especially with the City Hall project and the possible, or the potential police department project and other projects that we are going to be facing in the next few years. But right now, at this last minute, I find that troublesome, because I don't want future investors to be turned off by a definition of process. So, I said I wasn't going to say anything else, but I'm sorry.
Thank you, Councilwoman. All right, this time I'll go ahead and call the vote on Patricia Fairclough's motion to put this out to RFP for 3 months for bowling center, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right, real quick, 2 minutes, put it on the clock.
Janet LeGrand. I'm with Blue Network. I'm also a resident here in Homestead. So I pay taxes just as everybody else here. And my interest is not just from a business perspective, it's also as a citizen of Homestead. I live here. I moved here in 2006, so a lot of the stuff that happened prior to me moving here internally, or rather before incorporating my company, there's nothing I can do about that. As far as why there wasn't any interest, and I just don't want to reiterate what we're proposing, but as far as to why there hadn't have been any of these proposals come forward, it's because really, Governor Scott just signed in May and became effective in July 1st of this year, public-private partnerships that allows unsolicited proposals to municipalities. And that's what we bring to the table. What we bring to the table is a consortium of companies and top-rated design and architecture that have built nothing but public safety, including courthouses and the first green police station in the nation to work here. Top 10 global bank of BBVA Compass to work here. They want to grow here with us, and they want to bring their businesses to Homestead, and that's what I'm bringing. And aside from that, it's ownership of the city of Homestead of this $2.9 million, 4.9 acres. That's what we're bringing, 100% financing. Your numbers, Mr. Burgess, in terms of the $14 million for a budget, that's not off. Our proposal, it's 40,000 square feet green certified police station for $14 million. So we're not off. I've done just a matrix. I want to leave that with you. And, you know, be it in May, our proposal also states that if you wanted to increase to a 60,000 square feet, that we were interested in bringing the Dave & Buster an entertainment venue elsewhere. So it's really up to the city. That's all. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Madam Clerk, call the vote.
Can I pass this out before you do that?
No,
The
because
matrix?
this is only on the RFP now, and
Okay.
what you're discussing is an actual new project. So that may come and become relevant later, but at this point, this is
All
only
right,
on the RFP.
thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Williams? What is the vote? I mean, excuse me, what is the motion
The
again?
motion is to go out for RFP for a 3-month process for bowling alley only.
No.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
No.
Councilman Burgess?
No.
Councilman Maldonado?
No.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
The motion fails.
I'd like to make a motion
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
that
Williams.
we vote on this contract tonight.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from council?
Just to be clear, is it a motion to approve the contract or a motion to proceed with voting on the contract?
To approve the contract.
Okay, that's what I thought you meant.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
No.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
No.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
No. Motion fails. So does it, no other motions, then we just move on, right?
Okay, so where you are is we do not have authorization, the contract has not been approved, and an RFP has not been approved. So it is a discussion, so if somebody wants to make another motion, it would be in order. If there's no motion, give it 2 or
Can I
3
ask-
seconds and move on.
May I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead,
What was-
Councilwoman
What
Wallman.
was your, what did you ask me before, what my motion would be, to approve or to?
I asked you whether it was a motion to move ahead with the contract or actually to approve the contract, and this was a
And what was the alternative?
The other one was to, the other one was to move ahead with the discussion of the contract.
Would that mean discussion tonight of the contract?
Yes, that's what that was the alternate to what you meant.
Well, then I'll make that motion since I'll shoot for 3.
Second.
Do something.
What's your motion? Because I don't
Ask
understand
him.
The
pursue
councilwoman's
the
motion is to
position.
have a further discussion regarding the contract itself.
Is that similar to a motion to defer, or what are?
Can I just
I don't know
offer
what-
Go ahead,
one more
go
thing?
ahead, City Manager.
I know I said this once already, but I'm just going to say it again, because we now at step 3. If there's a majority view that want a bowling alley, I would just suggest that the way to achieve that at this point, in my opinion, looks like you need to do something with the ordinance. Because if we end up with this, you've already got a negotiated contract, you have other people that may or may not propose, but for those of you that want a bowling alley, the RFP is the only way to get you there. If you don't want a bowling alley, then I would suggest don't do anything tonight and just start thinking about, what we can bring it to a cow or whatever. But I just wanted to lay that out just for those of you that don't want it. 'Cause
Right, because as I understand it right now, if we don't do anything else and there's no other motions, we keep doing these 3 to 3 things, then it fails. We do nothing. So we've not moved the city forward one way or another. We're not looking for police stations. We're not putting it out to the highest bidder. We're not putting it out to a bowling alley. So essentially, we'll do nothing with this land, at least in the immediate term going forward.
And in fairness to the applicants, they have done a lot of work here, and at least if you're interested in doing a bowling alley, the clock will start ticking now. Jerry will get the RFP out, and 3 months from now, we'll go
But if
up
we
again.
have already voted the RFP down, how are you going to do another RFP?
Can I make a suggestion?
Hold it.
The person in the majority would have to make a motion to reconsider. For those that voted no on the RFP, one of those would have to
Correct.
make a motion to reconsider.
Someone who voted no to Councilman Fairclough's motion would have to make a motion to reconsider that motion, and then you could see if that passes. If that passes, then her motion is back on the floor.
To the Vice Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Fairclough.
I know this is very difficult for everybody. We all recognize that. And I understand that it's very troublesome for you. But if we waited, I don't see why 3 months is going to hurt us. If we really want bowling, we want the process to be fair, we're moving forward in this city, we're restoring public trust, we don't want any negative impact or cause of impropriety. What's wrong with 3 months? We've waited 3 years. I don't think 3 months is stalling the project. I think it's formalizing the project in a 3-month window for RFP. I don't think it's asking for too much. Resubmit your plan, amend it, do what you have to do.
Not going to do it.
But 3 months, I don't think that's asking for too much.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Madam Chair, at the moment, there's nothing on the floor, so to continue discussing this, you really should have a motion to reconsider if that's what the council...
Well, I mean, I think at this point, if there is no motion that can pass, then the next step would be to have a further wider discussion on this again at an upcoming COW or wherever we decide to go with it, and see if we can find a majority of us to move in the same direction. Because right now, we can't. We're all split up. We all have different ideas. And so rather than continue to beat this over the head tonight, the best thing may be is to put this off, put it on the next COW, and let's fight it out again then and see if we can find, 4 votes in the same direction. So
Vice Mayor, but how do we know if no one else, is there anyone who would like to reconsider?
that's what I'm asking right now. Essentially, I'm putting it out there that that's kind of where we are. So if I don't hear another motion to move us in another direction, then at this point, we're going to have to move the meeting forward and go on to the other business, because we have quite a long agenda. So if I don't hear anything to reconsider or otherwise, then that's what I'm assuming we're at. We'll put this on the COW and reconsider where we are at that point in time and what we all want to do and where we want to go.
Mr. Vice Mayor, with all due respect, before that's considered, may I and my client have a second?
Yeah, well, why don't we do
Please.
this? Why don't we continue on with the meeting? And
can I have 2 seconds before that?
2 seconds,
I mean,
go ahead. 2 seconds,
honestly,
yes.
you owe us that. I mean, we've been through 3 months now of negotiation and contractors and meeting with you all individually and sharing financial statements with you individually and criminal background checks. And so we've jumped through every hoop the city has asked. And as a student of government myself for many years, sitting at that table, and in fact sitting at the county, doing business this way only disenfranchises those that come before you after us. And in fact, it's putting out a message to those that want to invest in this community that you can go through every obstacle, you can give every turn you would like to the city of Homestead, and then they could change on a dime. And that's just not fair to the process. While I keep hearing that there's no formal process, that's just not true. There has been 2 formal processes in place. And this place has been vacant since 2002. So if you don't like me, or if you don't like one person on our team, don't hold that against this gentleman, because this gentleman has given you a contract that is better than any contract that you've already voted on unanimously. And if you don't believe that, ask your manager to go through those contracts point by point. But, with all due respect, I don't believe you're going to have Dr. Sanchez here for another RFP. So you can trade in. It's like, behind door number 3 on The Price is Right. The city of Homestead deserves to move forward and progress. And you say just another 3 months. Well, another 3 months turns into then negotiation for another 2 months, because that'll be 5 months, because a 3-month process to get an RFP out on the street and responded to, and you still don't know if you're going to have good respondents back. And then to guarantee bowling for 8 years, that's a restriction that you put on somebody that's extremely difficult. And you already had the only premier bowling alley operator, Sergio Rock, from Miami, from Bird Bowl. He turned you down. So the operator that's in town, Sergio Rock, Bird Bowl, they've already turned you down. So to think that you're going to get some new, miraculous operator in the next 3 months is probably far-fetched. So I would respectfully ask that you please reconsider and allow us to move forward with what you've asked us to do. This is the contract that you all have asked us to put forward. This is teed up. This is what you ordered on the menu. Please allow us to serve it.
Thank you.
Through the Vice Mayor, may I respond?
Yes, I'll respond quickly.
Very briefly.
Yes.
There is no refuting that the proposal that Dr. Sanchez brought forward was, in my opinion, above and beyond what I have seen from the other proposals. There is no refuting. And if you check the minutes, when you originally came before us, I said I wasn't comfortable with that 500,000, but I went forward because your product was better than what was before me. And you mentioned that Dr. Sanchez shouldn't be held, responsible if someone on the team didn't like you or whoever. What I would hope that everyone on this dais is professional enough not to vote. I said I hope, because I know for me, I don't make decisions based on who's on a team. I don't play like that. I am professional and I do things how they're supposed to be done. So how I vote is not in regard to who's on the team. So I want to clear that up. I can't speak for everybody else. I can speak for Patricia Faircloth. I made a decision because this last process, we didn't go out for RFP. And I respectfully request it for 3 more months. If you're that passionate about it, resubmit. If you're not,
I don't think I'm going to be able to hold my investment.
But I'm still speaking, Mr. Shiver, with all due respect to you. So, either come back or not. It's just that simple. And I don't think that we're going to deter investors from coming to the city. I think they would appreciate the fact that we're moving forward, doing things in the proper manner. I understand your passion. I understand you're upset. I feel you. I understand that. But I think you should respect the decision that I made. And if, like I said, if you're that passionate about it, come back.
Thank you, Councilwoman. At this time, hearing no additional motions, then we'll go ahead and move on to public hearings.
James?
Yes.
Vice Mayor? Vice Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Williams. Councilman Williams.
Yeah, you said something that since we didn't do anything tonight, it can be forwarded, it can go to the next cow agenda
Yeah, correct.
for discussion.
Correct.
Then I make that motion that it goes to the next cow agenda for
Well, and just
discussion.
be clear, what I was proposing was that the idea of what to do with this land would go to the next cow, because I don't think that keep putting the same item forward over and over and over again is going to get us anywhere. So what I would do is put it as a discussion item. It would be reopened to discuss what to do with this bowling alley, what to do with this land at the next council meeting. And if 4 of us narrow it back down to bowling it is. If 4 of us take it somewhere else, that's where it goes. Or if 4 of them come back and say, you know what, this is really the deal we wanted, then this goes back onto the agenda as well. So I don't want to limit it to one, if that's okay with the council.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
So I withdraw what I said.
Thank you, Councilman Williams.
Yes, Vice Mayor. Moving on to the public hearing section of your agenda. Please be advised the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in, all testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The
full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization, and further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any items on the agenda.
Yes, sir. I spoke with the applicant on 19, 20, 21, and 22 via the phone.
Through the mayor, I've had communications with the applicant as well on the same items that Councilman Burgess just mentioned.
At this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on any of the following quasi-judicial items.
Please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Thank you. You may be seated.
Mayor, the tab 19, 20, 21, and 22 all pertain to the same proposed residential single-family development. The first two items are variances. The third item is a site plan, and the last item is a corresponding tentative plat. I can introduce by title each one of the items. You can have a public hearing collectively on them because you'll have questions with regards to the first two and how it applies to the second. And at the conclusion of that, you can call for a vote on each one of the items.
Each item, okay.
Tab 19, the first item is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, considering the request by Reedus Florida Land, LLC, for a variance from Section 30-114.1 Building Site Area Requirements of the City Code to permit a reduction in the minimum lot size from 7,500 square feet to 6,651.88 square feet within a 48-unit single-family residential subdivision on an approximately 9.64-acre parcel located south of Southwest 323rd Street, west of Southeast 30th Terrace, north of Southeast 4th Place, and east of Southwest 152nd Ave, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. Tab 20, the second resolution, is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, considering the request by Reedus Florida Land, LLC, for a variance from Section 30-114.1 Building Site Area Requirements. Sorry, it should be building lot. I'm sorry, Mayor. Building site area requirements of the City Code to permit a reduction in the minimum lot width from 60 feet to approximately 51 feet within a 48-unit single-family residential subdivision on an approximately 9.64-acre parcel located southwest of 323rd Street, west of Southeast 30th Terrace, north of Southeast 4th Place, and east of Southwest 152nd Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. The third resolution is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, considering the request by Reedus Florida Land, LLC, for site plan approval for a 48-unit single-family subdivision on an approximately 9.64-acre parcel located south of Southwest 323rd Street, west of Southeast 30th Terrace, north of Southeast 4th Place, and east of Southwest 152nd Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. Last and final is tab 22. It's a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, considering the request by Reedus Florida Land, LLC, for tentative plat approval for a 48-unit single-family residential subdivision on an approximately 9.64-acre parcel located southwest of 323rd Street, west of Southeast 30th Terrace, north of Southeast 4th Place, and east of Southwest 152nd Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
I'll move them, Mayor.
Move all four.
Yes, sir.
Is there a second? Second by Ms. Fairclough. Any questions from the council?
Yes, sir. If I could. First, I'd like to thank Mr. Decker because he came before us several months ago with a project that bordered up to my neighborhood, and I didn't think it was ideal, and there were a lot of variances, and they came back with a much better product this time. So I'd like to thank the applicant, Mr. Decker, for that. He met with my neighbors this evening to go over some concerns because Mayor Porter, you may remember years ago when we were building behind the other side of that neighborhood. It's a difficult neighborhood because of the way that it was formed with a berm, and it went down 9 feet, 15 feet in, and for the developer to come, they almost have to backfill onto the neighbors that they're going to join up to their lot because of drainage issues from A to B and B to A. So I believe those problems, from what I hear, have all been worked out tonight to the satisfaction of the neighbors. So I want to thank him. I'm not privy to exactly how everything worked out because they did that while we started our meeting. So I want to thank you for your concessions there and your ability to work with our neighbors. The only one thing that I still have, and I did speak with our planner today, was the entranceway, not the entranceway, I guess it would be a turn off of 152 in and out of there. I have concerns because if somebody is coming southbound on 152, they have to come down in front of the North Gate and East Lake areas and do a U-turn to come back up to get into their development there. Or if they want to come out and make a right-hand turn but really want to go south, then they would have to proceed down to where East Maury is now, which is doesn't have a turn lane or anything, and would have to do a U-turn there to proceed south, or a left turn on the Maury, either way. So I think at some point we need to reach out to the county or whoever it is and figure out a way to solve this problem. Obviously, we cannot stop development. Development is allowed. The gentleman's brought a product that conforms to what the city specifications are. He's worked with the neighbors and done a good thing. But as we move forward and look for a solution to this, because there's safety involved, there's a lot of cars that are there already in the mornings because Maury is a failing intersection at 152 already in the mornings, where the school parents come out and make a right-hand turn, come down there and make a quick U-turn because it's quicker than trying to make a left-hand turn across traffic that's coming both ways. And you've got the Isles of Oasis, which is right there. You've got Northgate, which is right there. It's a 40-mile-an-hour zone that people go much faster than 40 miles an hour on in the morning as they're trying to get to school, trying to get to work, wherever they're going, and all hours of the day. So I don't know, is there a solution that either one, you guys have done much more of this than I have, planning and developing and stuff. Is there a solution to this question? Because I know Mr. Sullivan, who lives over in Northgate and represented that neighborhood for years, has also has the identical question tonight. So I'm trying to get to that. And I know with a county road, we have to go to the county and the whole works, but where do we go to make this a safe neighborhood for everybody to get in and out of, and for the surrounding neighborhoods and surrounding traffic that crisscrosses through there?
If I may, I think the solution would be that we would need to do an operational analysis of the road, specifically the proposed median cut that would be a new intersection there. Make sure that that in implementing something like that, we didn't negatively affect either the traffic at that intersection or the traffic or at the other intersections upstream and downstream. I believe that we could do that as a city, or we could ask the county to do that. I think I'll defer to Public Works, but I think that's a half section line road from Miami-Dade County who would have jurisdiction over that.
Yes, this would basically end up being a county jurisdiction. However, just looking at the location of where this new entrance would be, it doesn't look to me like there will be any issues there regarding putting a median cut there, because the distances are far enough. However, it will be something that they would have to look at and give us the okay. We could either build it ourselves, build it into the development order, or wait for the county to do it. Those would be the three steps, the three options.
I guess what's a time frame on something like that coming back to us?
Well, a traffic study would have to be performed to make sure that the distances
But they would have had to have done one already, correct?
But they're not taking into account a cut through the median, so there would have to be a traffic study
And I mean, we're looking
on the
at
cut
48
itself.
homes, so we're not looking at 6,000 trips a day. You know, we're looking at, I don't know what number you guys came up with in your...
48 and 60 trips a day.
So
48
you're looking
in the morning, 62 in the afternoon.
All right, so you're looking at 110 trips in and out of there a day, but still it only takes one car to have a bad day. So that's my concern.
It doesn't look to me like it's a big issue, but it's up, you know, the county will be the one reviewing that, so I don't know how long it would take them to do that.
Well, we need to move that forward at whatever rate we can, and come up with a safe solution for the new residents that are going to be there, the old residents that travel that road each and every day. And obviously, when we get the light at Maury, which I know you're going to tell me tonight's going to happen tomorrow, but that will help the situation over there tremendously also, as it will slow people down and all, so.
I remember the process for this type of alteration is not as lengthy as a traffic signal. This is something that would be considered basically just a permit for, you know, median cut. Basically, it will be a construction permit more than anything else.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's the only solution there is, so please, let's forward and figure out what we need to do there sooner than later. As I like to not be reacting, but I like to be proactive. Thank you. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from council? Okay, this is a public hearing, so this time I will open up the public hearing. Anything from the applicant different from what you're hearing?
No, sir. Pretty much it's a 48 unit site plan. It was previously approved with Homestead and for a site plan and a T-plat, I think back in probably 2006 for 48 units. It went to Dade County, was approved, and the previous owner never fell through with the final plat. So at this time I'm coming with a new site plan and resubmitting. It's still 48 units. The site plan changed a little bit now to accommodate less variances. With the previous site plan, the only thing I changed was the lot lines and kept the configuration of the roads and the cul-de-sacs. Now I have one road, one cul-de-sac. What it does do is it gives us a much larger backyard to the homeowners. Still 48 lots. The one variance I am asking for is for the 7,500 square foot minimum lot to be reduced. The lots that I have, 44 of those 48 are 7,430 square feet. It's 70 square feet less. If I added 6 inches wider lot, I would make that 7,500. But what I'm asking for is I can have 7,500 across the board to every single lot, all 48 of them. But what I'm asking for, why I asked for that reduction in the variance, is because I really think it's detrimental to have a landscape buffer in the front of my property. Every property I've done for 25 years, I've made a landscape buffer. It's a large impact to the development. It's a great aesthetics for City of Homestead to drive down a street and see a nice 30-foot berm with a 30-foot landscape buffer with a meandering berm and some beautiful landscaping on it. You don't see a side of a house with a fence. It really makes the job look much better and much appealing. The appearance is much nicer. So, anyways, with that being said, that's pretty much the reason why the site plan has changed and why I'm asking for that one particular variance.
All right, thank you. It is a public hearing, so if there's anyone from the public that would like to speak.
Kevin Sullivan, 1860 Southeast 6th Court. I'm here tonight. I listened to the proposal. I haven't heard anything from my neighbors across the street in East Lake, so they were having a meeting. I guess they're comfortable with what was presented to them. My problem is the traffic. Without any cut for the people coming south on 152, they have to come and make a U-turn in the intersection that we were made to put in when they built our section of Keysgate. I live in a 539 house community. We come out of there, the traffic is brutal now because of all the schools. So now you're going to have people trying to make a U-turn. Now I don't know how you feel about U-turns, but U-turns turning into a high-speed 40-mile-per-hour limit that nobody does 40 except me, and I get the horns blown at me, is ridiculous. We have a developer that's willing to do work. Let's ask him to put the cut in there so that the people coming south can turn into his product.
Any other discussion? Let me ask a question to Julio. If you were to pull out of your pocket a guesstimation of what it would cost to create a cut, any ideas?
It's not a big ticket item. It really isn't. It's just some minor asphalt work, some concrete curbing, and just refurbishing the median. So it's really not a lot of.
So basically, it's subject to county approval.
Correct. If it's required, the county will just make the developer submit plans for the cut, and it will be considered construction plans for modification to a roadway. That's all.
So you're suggesting, well, the comment just made would be the developer would do it. Is that what you're saying?
Whoever's going to build the cut, whoever's going to build the cut would have to submit plans to the county, and it will be reviewed by the county as a construction plans only. That's it.
Okay. Well, the community is saying cut's necessary. So let's decide tonight who's responsible for the cut. If it's in the motions, I think there's a motion on the table, correct? Sorry? For discussion. Okay, so there's not, so as part of whatever this motion may be, then the question would be, do we ask the developer to foot the bill for this, or do we ask the city to put the bill for this? So as we discuss this, and the applicant is here, so that would be part of what I think we should talk about tonight.
I did have a traffic study done, and that was an option or a question I did bring up, and they said there was no need for it when they did traffic study. I do have it with me. It was submitted to Homestead. So at that time, I never proposed it. That was the reason for no proposal of that turn lane. It wasn't necessary in the traffic study.
All right, the Vice Mayor, then Mr. Williams.
Procedurally, how would that work? Because if we made a condition and it would end up being an exorbitant amount of cost so that it prohibited the project, I mean, how could we establish that if we decided it was the developer's responsibility, but it ended up being really expensive? How would we structure that, or could we structure that in such a way tonight?
Mayor, if I might, to help this conversation along, it's certainly common, not unusual, to place a condition on a development approval for off-site improvements, ingress, egress into the development, whatever traffic improvements or intersection improvements that may be necessary to mitigate the impacts associated with the proposed development. Those are normally are always established by some evidence, traffic study, some report that warrants the proposed improvements are necessary to mitigate the development. And it's commonplace for you all to place those conditions, and you've had developers do off-site improvements, lane expansions, ingress, egress, intersection improvements. That's not unusual. The problem here is that you really can't place a condition without there being any showing that it's rationally related to, or there's some nexus to that on this developer that doesn't comport with the case law. Now, if the applicant were to proffer it, that would be fine, and certainly that could be added to the development offer. I mean, the development approval as a condition at the development's proffer, but might want to ask the applicant if he's willing to do that. But certainly, without having a traffic study or having your planning director, planning staff say something to the contrary, I would just caution you about placing that condition in the development order.
Mr. Williams?
No, I was reacting to something that you said, Mayor. You said that those easements to either have the city pay for or to have the developer pay for. Is that what I heard you say?
I just proposed a question. I didn't know what Mr. Abreu was talking about, because he said we were asking about who was going to pay for it, and then he made a comment that
it would be paid for by the developer, so I was just basically asking for
Oh,
clarification.
okay, all right.
Anything else, Mr. Williams? Okay. Burgess? So then, James, what you're saying is if he's brought a traffic study and we've accepted it and there's no, and according to it, there's no need, then our best course of action is to go to the county and plead with them and hope that they say yes, and then they would be responsible for the expense?
Well, if the county were amenable to a cut in that median, in their right-of-way, they probably would look to the city to flip the bill to, I'm assuming, I don't know, but I don't think they're going to march out right away and do that when it's not in line with their other capital expenditures that they have lined up. In order to facilitate that, the city might would need to pay the cost of having that work done or do the work on behalf of the county. And Julio might be able to speak to that a little bit. But I mean, that's sort of been the dialogue and the action that the city has had with the county on certain improvements and roadways before.
I concur 100% with what he's saying. I don't see the county stepping forward and doing this work, especially when the traffic study says that it's not needed. They're going to use that as the reason why not to do the work. So they'll be in the same boat as we are.
You surrender? Okay, we've got any further discussion? So is there a motion for approval? I thought you made a motion to discuss. I thought that's what the clerk said. You made a motion for approval. And Tricia, I think you made a second. So there is a motion for approval. Any final discussion from council?
Well, I would just ask one, I mean, I don't know what Mr. Decca's feeling is, but I'd ask him if he would like to proffer up some of the expense, if not all the expense with the city. I mean, I know it's another cost to your project and all, and that you guys have conformed everything we've asked, but I would ask again. You know, it never hurts to ask, my dad told me.
I would contribute to it. I'm not against that. I do want to continue work in Homestead, and I want to work in relationship with all you. But I think on the end of the day, if the traffic report said that I had to install it, I would install it, and I would put that in there. I'm not against installing it. I'd like to see it there too. But if it's some further discussion, I would be willing to contribute something to it. And well, again, I can do the design and maybe contribute some of the work. I am for that.
Question.
I guess that's better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Question, then how much would that cost? How much are we talking about then?
Are you asking me what the cost of this?
I'm asking staff if that will.
We're really not prepared to answer that question. We would have to look at the design and see exactly what's there to put a cost to it. But right at this time, I would have to do some numbers to figure it out.
So how would that work with the approval of his contract of his application? How would that? Because we've been here before, where we were supposed to do half or something of that nature, and then the applicant was supposed to do his portion, and we reneged on our half. And so how does that work without hindering the progress of the applicant?
Well, it's very vague, and so the applicant very well may be proffering that right now, but once you approve this,
right,
the county could say no,
right,
and there would not be any turn there. The county could say yes, and then it would take some time to figure out the engineering, the drawing, the aspects of it, if there are drawings already there, not there, you know, all those details.
But we can't legally attach it to this application.
Correct. I think your staff has already told you that that the traffic study does not warrant at this juncture an implementation of a condition requiring the developer
Right,
to
I got
place a
that.
cut.
I was just asking, legally, could it not be attached to that?
Ms. Faircloth, did you have? No. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I know we've established that, but I just also want to make sure that he did proffer, so that's part of the record as well. So if we determine later that it is needed because of traffic concerns or other problems that we're having, then at that point, we can work together in collaboration with the applicant in this case and hopefully find a solution and a cost-sharing idea that'll make this work for our residents that are maybe affected by this type of problem. So I just want to make sure it's all clear, it's all on the record, and even though we can't legally require it, he did proffer it, so since he proffered it, we can accept that and move forward, correct?
What I could offer is I would do the engineering design. I could maybe flip the bill for 50% of that turn lane, but I would ask that I could do this at the same time I'm doing my construction. I don't want to build my roads, build my development, and then come back a year later and be required, oh, you need to put this turn lane in. If I can do it at the same time, it's easier for me, it's easier for all of us.
And Mayor, to me, that makes a lot more sense because we're being reactive and taking care of the problem before there ever is a problem. It's going to make the construction of the place easier if we do it because trucks and delivery trucks and all that are going to be able to get in and out of there. Right now, they're going to be coming down trying to do a U-turn, and we all know that's going to end up as bad for somebody. So I would suggest that, yes, if he's willing to do that, then let's take him up on that if we are able to legally and look at doing this as the project moves forward because I see a disaster with traffic he's got a lot of fill to bring into that place, a lot of fill, and there's going to be a lot of dump trucks trying to do U-turns backed up in the middle of Kingman and all that as we move forward. And the dump trucks start at 6 o'clock in the morning with school traffic going too, so.
Well, thank you for offering. I think that the council, I think you met everyone halfway in this particular case, so without any further discussion, Madam Clerk.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Mayor, Joe
Yes.
Cordino, may I just clarify the proper, Mr. Deck, is that the engineering design or?
The engineering design for the turn lanes.
Got it. Okay, so we'll add that as a condition to the development order and proceed.
What I would ask is maybe staff and engineering tell me what is required for storage and transition moving forward, because I don't think there's anything that really sets a requirement right now. That would need
The design will have to be approved by Miami-Dade County, and
Right.
in that portion, they will go through all those technical requirements with us. So we'll go through a couple of iterations with them, get it
Okay.
approved, and then we'll be able to construct it.
Okay. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Let me just say thank you again for all that you've done tonight and proffered up to the neighbors and to the city, so, yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Thank you very much.
That concludes your quasi-judicial matters, Mayor. Moving on to legislative matters, tab 23. The second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the city code by amending Chapter 30 zoning, Article 1 definitions, and Article 3 district regulations in order to provide for athletic fields as a special exception use within the I-1 light industrial zoning district, the I-2 medium industrial zoning district, and the I-3 heavy industrial zoning district, and amending Article 4 supplemental district regulations, Division 8 special exceptions to provide for athletic fields and establish supplemental regulations and standards, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. This is second and final reading.
Any report from staff?
Yes, sir. We recommend that the mayor and council approve this ordinance amending the city code to permit the athletic fields within the industrial zoning districts by special exception. Through this ordinance, we've authorized the athletic fields of the city. The ordinance authorizes outdoor athletic fields within the industrial zoning districts as a special exception, following several minimum requirements and supplemental development standards, including the permanent public restrooms be provided on site, the field lighting shall not be permitted, and that if natural turf is utilized, that it should be sodded and irrigated, installed according with the city code. Again, we recommend approval.
Thank you. Any questions from council at this point?
Yes. Where is most of your industrial zone located? In the city?
The industrial zone is primarily around the older part of the city, around the US 1 and down to the western side, western half.
The western side?
Western half of the city, yes, sir. Primarily.
The southwestern side of the city?
There are some. Well, I think that it's west of. There are some in the southwest neighborhoods. There are some north of that area as well, kind of west of US 1.
So you're saying that they will, that we will, the athletic fields will be permitted within those areas?
We're permitting in the industrial sections of the city code, but not in the industrial section of the Southwest Master Plan, because it's guided by that special master plan. It's not going to be subject to this. We would have to amend that code because it's a special area plan.
So you're going to bring that back to amend it?
If I'm directed to do so, I will.
Well, I just want to make sure because it's really kind of left open.
We're putting this in the industrial section of the
Right.
code. We can amend it and put it in the Southwest Neighborhood Industrial section if you wish.
No. Okay, I'm just asking how, where's most of your industrial area will be. And I know there's quite a bit in the southwest, so that's why I'm trying to get an understanding
Yes,
of
sir,
such.
there is some there.
Vice Mayor.
Just for clarification, the property, because this was, if I remember right, this was generated by one particular applicant or one particular organization, I think, that wanted to do a soccer field. Do you know where their plan was? Was their plan within the Southwest Master Plan area, or was it in, make sure that...
They had no specific location, as far as I knew. They just wanted the ability...
But did that concept come up at all?
No, sir.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you're in the Southwest? In locationally? No, we didn't discuss location, except for industrial.
Okay. Because I know that was one of the driving forces behind this particular code section was the one organization's concept or idea that they were either already had land or were acquiring land such that they could do some sort of soccer facility. So I just want to make sure what we're doing is accomplishing that goal, because I think that's kind of the understanding of why this is moving forward. So I guess that was my question.
I believe we accomplished the goal. I was not aware of a site-specific issue that they had. The only place we changed this because we were dealing with amusement facilities in the industrial areas. We could only put these types of things indoors.
Right.
And so we modified to put them outdoors. That would allow the flexibility in the area that allows this.
Okay. I guess that was my only big question, is making sure we met with whoever the organization is or whoever we're trying to do this for, or whatever generated this change in the code, to make sure that we're going through the process and I guess we're accomplishing the goal. That's all. I just want to make sure we've looked at all those issues.
I believe we've accomplished it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anything else from council? This is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak for or against this proposed ordinance? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion from council?
I'll move it.
Is there a second? Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carried.
Moving on to your next tab, tab 24, is an ordinance, second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the city code by amending Chapter 6 Building and Building Regulations by creating Article 14 Public Safety Radio System Protection to protect radio communications in order to ensure public safety within the city, providing for applicability, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date. It's a second and final reading.
Second reading, is there a report from staff?
Yes, sir. This proposed ordinance, we recommend approval. The ordinance requires that compliance by new buildings or structures designed or used for commercial, multifamily dwellings or institutional that having at least 40,000 square feet of floor area to submit an application for a certificate of occupancy for such a building and structure of the effective date of the ordinance. That when substantial building improvements are going to be done on that building or structure, these are to be inspected by the police department. Those that fail to support the required level of radio coverage in the building will be asked or be required to be equipped with either a radiating cable or an internal multiple antenna. The whole point of this is it's going to allow, so like a repeater system that's going to allow police communications inside the building, which otherwise would not be available. It's going to be able to keep our police department and emergency responders safe, so we're recommending approval of it.
Second it.
Questions from council?
Yeah, just a quick follow-up. I know the last council meeting or last time we discussed it, the committee of the whole, I think it was, I'd asked the question as far as what type of cost would this impart onto our developers that are coming in with these types of structures. And I didn't see necessarily it in the backup documentation. I think I did get a phone call about it, but I just want to get clarification, see if we determine what is the low end, what is the high end, just so I know that what type of burden is this placing on the developer. Is it reasonable, or is it
I believe it's reasonable. I think that a piece of equipment like this can be as low as $5,000. So.
Right. I remember hearing the 5,000 at the low end, but I wanted to know kind of what it would be at the high end if you had a super, like a Homestead hospital type that's coming in, and all. Yeah. If there's someone that can give me the answer, it'd be great. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Carlos Bello. I'm with the Homestead Police Department Technology Services Office. I believe my colleague during the first reading gave you some approximate numbers and did indicate that he would be following up with more updated numbers. Since then, we have pulled some data with our recent histories with our own projects being implemented. We went ahead and pulled some data. The $5,000 estimate was a little off, but it wasn't too far off in the sense that overall it's negligible to the overall scope of the project. To give you some history, as far as labor is concerned, it was approximately $5,000 to implement that system. That did not include equipment cost, which through the city of Homestead did elevate that cost up to $22,000. When looking at the overall equipment cost and the project compared to the applied value, which was obtained from our building department's permit information records, it turned out to be approximately less than 1% or 0.8% of affected cost towards that structure. And that's I'm referencing actually the Publix at the Oasis Plaza. Similar numbers for the Publix at the Waterstone Plaza. Those are the two structures that we implemented BDAs on that are complete. On a larger structure, such as the Homestead Hospital, the applied value of that building is $82 million, and we went ahead and looked at the overall cost for that project, which was $82,000. Giving us 0.1% of overall effect on the cost of that project. However, that project is not complete, and all of these projects were paid by grant money.
No, that's what I needed to know, just to get an idea of scale versus what a project of that size. Homestead Hospital would probably be the worst case scenario for radio communications, and it's a very small fraction of a percent of the entire. It's not a small number, but it's compared to the project it is. So that's all I needed to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments from council? This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public would like to speak for or against this proposed ordinance? Being none, I'll close the public hearing. It was moved and properly seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess,
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley,
Yes.
Mayor Porter,
Yes.
motion carries.
Moving on to tab 25, it's the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the budgets for each of the several funds and departments of the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2013, ending September 30th, 2014, by increasing total budgeted revenues and expenditures by $7,321, providing for a repealer, severability, and effective date. This is second and final reading.
Staff report, Mr. Manager.
Mayor, the purpose of this amendment is to roll the amounts encumbered primarily for ongoing capital project at fiscal year end 2013 in the current fiscal year's budget. Staff recommends the mayor and council approve and amend the fiscal year 2014 budget for various funds as per the attached schedule. The item was approved on first reading at the November 20th, 2013 council meeting.
Questions from council? Hang on, let me get the public hearing up. This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public would like to speak on regards to this issue of tab 25? Seeing none, hearing none, close the public hearing. There was a motion to approve by I'll call you Vice Mayor. Mr. Burgess, is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice Mayor. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess? Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Tab 12 is on, so we're on, next item is tab 26, correct?
Yes, Mayor. Not simply asking for a motion. Manager.
Let's get the staff report first.
I have a vote of conflict, as I always do, and I'm filling out my form with one of the proposals in the City Hall project, I believe is linked. So I need to be excused, and I have filled out my form as I always do, and always recuse myself and tell it why I'm recusing myself, for what purpose. Thank you.
Mr. Manager.
Mayor, during a special call meeting, Mayor and Council directed staff to initiate a request for a proposal for the construction of the new City Hall, including possible financing options as part of the submittal. Based on a review of submitted proposals, staff recommends the Mayor and Council reject all proposals received in response to the RFP for the construction of the new City Hall and initiate a new solicitation stipulating straight cost and qualifications with award to the lowest responsible bidder, and to exclude the local vendor preference clause.
Any questions from council? This is a public hearing. We'll open up the public hearing at this time. Anyone that would like to speak for or against this proposal?
Mr. Mayor, Council, Steve Shiver, 47 North Chrome Avenue, taxpayer, citizen. The City Hall project, from a historical perspective, was something that we began talking about in 1997 when I was mayor here. I believe, Mr. Porter, you were serving at that time with us, and some of the staff members here probably remember that discussion. For various reasons, back then, it was put on the shelf, and there have been numerous iterations of that discussion that have taken place over the course of, what now, 15 years or so. This City Hall project was put out to bid in 2009, I believe. There were some bids that came back that were shelved. The City Hall project was put out again to bid, came out a little higher, but I have tonight the responsive bidder, in my opinion, Joe Fernandez and Daniel Munilla from MCM, and I'd like to let them share with you a little bit about the process. But as your manager of the memo points out, that some of the bids, they feel that they would have gotten more bids if the local preference wasn't an issue. There were 5 bids, and I believe only 1 claimed local preference. There was one from Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. Those contractors were from all over South Florida, and very capable. So I submit to you that a delay again today is just a delay of progress. No doubt that I'm a little upset about a delay of bowling alley discussion. What's another delay? What's another 3 months? What's another 6 months? If you delay this and put it out again to bid, you're looking at probably 6 to 8 months, probably a year before you start moving on construction at the City Hall. And in that case, your prices by far will be going up. There's no question about it. So there's some opportunity before you today to value engineer. I'll let Joe explain that, to bring the price down a little bit. There's some opulent finishes and things in the original construction plans. But I would again urge you to not throw this bid out. Give us an opportunity to value engineer, discuss with your very capable staff of moving forward, and let progress take this city by hold. Take a hold of the city. Something's got to give. And Joe, I'll let you speak.
Joe Fernandez, 6201 Southwest 7th Street. Born and raised in South Florida, retired U.S. Navy. Just want to highlight, Mr. Mayor, Council, MCM is a homegrown company. We've been in town, we've been in business for over 30 years. We have actually built your wastewater treatment plants. We have actually built your Homestead Fire Station number 16. We have actually expanded on some of your elementary schools in the community. We were part of the original bid team in 2009 and once again in 2013. We put all our efforts into giving you what we feel is the most complete price. We understand that there's a memorandum that basically outlines that we're over budget by $5 million, or that the price was higher by $5 million. You got to remember that in 2009, our economic construction was almost at the bottom. People from all over the nation were actually bidding work. We were actually getting contractors from northern Florida as far as Atlanta coming down here and bidding work in our backyard. In today's market, the times have changed. Resources are scarce. If you look at our skyline, there's probably 30, 35 cranes out there that weren't there last year at this time. There's a demand for subcontractors. There's a demand from vendors, qualified vendors. And we find that today to attribute it to price increase. As you can see from a local preference, we're local, even though we're in South Miami, Florida, but we have built in your hometown. We did not qualify for those points. However, we were ranked as the number 2 responsive bidder. We feel that at this time, so you guys delayed the process, as Steve had mentioned earlier, that you will live through a cost increase. MCM has an extensive pre-construction program. We ask you that we ask the board to entertain a value engineering option, where we sit down one-on-one and look at different attributes of the project and possibly reduce some of those attributes to get you within those budgets. We ask that the council and the board entertain that thought process. We also understand that by bidding this the second time, we had subcontractors, local contractors, that did not want to participate the second time around. They had vested so much energies in the first time, and the project was never even opened. The prices weren't even disclosed. It was just shelved. And the reason for shelving it was budgetary reasons. Now the second time, budgetary reasons have come up again. So I asked this panel, this board, to consider that the third time that we put it out to bid, we might have less participation, because the subcontractors and the vendors that are available in today's market might not have the resources to entertain this project at this time.
Danny Munilla, 7215 Sunset Drive. I don't want to waste your time and reiterate any points that have already been made. I just wanted to bring up a couple of things that weren't said. And in the memo that the city prepared, there was also mentioned that the finance option that was included may have caused bidders to be scared to bid on the project. We disagree. There was 5 bidders, 2 of which used the financing option. Projects of this size, in the current state of the construction market, typically get 5 or 6 bidders. So getting 5 is typical under the current circumstances. Additionally, there was no points awarded for the finance option, so there shouldn't have been any concern from bidders that weren't comfortable or didn't have the resources to get a financing arm to bid the project. I'd also like to state that this City Hall project is a beautiful project. The City of Homestead really needs it. It'll bring jobs to the local workforce, and I think the best course for the city is to continue with the procurement process recommended to the lowest responsive bidder, which we believe is MCM, and let the project, let the process take the ordinary course that it's required to take, and sit at the table and see if you can get a better deal, a better price, and that's all I have to say.
Just to wrap up, there are options that you have clearly options ahead of you tonight to discuss. And with the uncertainty that surrounds the downtown development area, with the college, the medical college, and things that have just happened there, I would think a shot in the arm, or at least a movement by this council to show support for the redevelopment of downtown. While we consider MCM to be the lowest responsible bidder, I would respectfully ask that tonight, instead of throwing out the bids, give your staff direction to negotiate with the top two, give us an opportunity to value engineer, or first, that's one option. The most preferred option is to allow your attorney to opine on the current legal questions that are before them regarding the responsiveness of bidders, and then let's move forward with the top responsive bidder. So you clearly have options, and I would submit that stopping the process or delaying it another year is problematic for all of us. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
We're on? Yes. We're on? Yes. Janet LeGrand with Blue Network. Second time on the podium today, so I guess we were recommended for award, and the staff did a very meticulous and thorough review of the process. The staff found us to be the most and the best offer for the city. We provided under the new PPP P3 concessionaire in association with Moss and Associates, which they're very well known here in South Florida, a very strong firm, local roots as well. We are local and here in Homestead, and BBA Compass Bank, as well as other owners for maintenance and so forth. I agree in part of what MCM is saying in terms of the competitiveness and certainly the interest in the local community. Prices have gone up in construction, and I feel that certainly we're looking for an answer from the city in regards to our proposal. We are the best option for the city. We provided 100% financing. That means 2 years of zero payments, and 25 years, and it's yours for $1. It's a very aggressive financing term, and I would very much appreciate the opportunity not only to work here in my hometown of Homestead, but also to bring other parties and companies that are wanting to spend the money, relocate people, and get people, local people, to work. We recommended up to 10% for value engineering offer. We're also committed to hiring local, something that the RFP did not request. They didn't give us any credit for being local preferences other than from a pricing standpoint regarding the city ordinance. But we decided that we were going to meet or exceed up to 10% of local participation for the city of Homestead. We've worked in many remote locations and recognize and know at firsthand what it is and what it does, and these projects, what they bring to the local community and to the business surrounding. So I asked the city councils and to make a decision, Mayor, and to essentially award this project that we've been waiting since we were nominated back in June 4th as the choice for the City Hall. Thank you.
Mayor, we have the architect here and Julio, if they want to just kind of go through some of their rationale. Julio, want to start us off? And if you could introduce the architect as well.
Sure, we have here Ivan Vivas from Rodriguez Quiroga. They were the design engineers who have worked in the design of this city hall from the very beginning, prior to the 2009 bid process, and have been involved in both of the solicitation processes that have come forward. In reference to the recommendation that staff is making, the memo that the staff prepared is, I think, is self-explanatory. Basically, there were several concerns that we had regarding the results of the solicitation process. One was the lack of response, in a sense. When you compare it to the solicitation that took place in 2009, there were 18 responders at that time, only 5 this time. We also like to bring up that 67 contractors requested plans for this project, and out of those, only 5 submitted a cost proposal. From informal investigations that we did with some of the contractors that did not respond to the bid, we asked reasons why they didn't, and some of the comments that we got were the fact that the local preference hindered their process, basically their effort, in a sense, because it would make it, they were feeling that they would go through all this process, all this effort, and then at the end of the day, not be able to get the project. Another concern was the financial option. The financial option that, in a sense, again, it brought ambiguity to their thought process, in a sense. So those were some of the issues that they brought to our attention. And from looking at comparing the 2009 to the 2013 submittals, the vast difference in pricing of close to $6 million in difference in a matter of 4 years, that in a sense did not give us the confidence level that we were getting the best pricing available out there. And that's why we're recommending to reject the bids and rebid it as a straight bid, so there's no questions about whether or not there's other options that are going to be looked at, and also without the local preference. So again, it would incentivize large corporations from outside to take an interest in the project. And if we increase the competition, we know that the price is going to go down. So those are really our reasons for making the recommendation that we made. And the architects can make a statement.
Let me say something real quick. Let me let Mr. Sullivan speak, because I didn't see him until I'd already turned to staff. So, Mr. Sullivan, I'm sorry.
Thank you for that. You know, I am kind of short, Mr. Mayor. Listen, I'd like to point out one thing here. It was mentioned earlier that they rejected the 2009 bids because they were too high. That's not true. Nobody up here sitting on this panel knew about the rejection. It was a city manager who was acting under the direction of a former mayor that just canceled them. So that is, city manager's not here anymore, thank God. Neither is the mayor. But in any case, I've listened to what MCM had to say, and they're willing to negotiate. I don't know how that fits in your whole broad scheme, and I don't believe, as fantastic as the city manager is, that he should be able to negotiate. I think they should sit down with the architect and the city manager and come up with a deal. Let's get the city hall built.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Go ahead, staff.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Ivan Vivas. I'm your architect for the City Hall and have been for the last few years. Really hoping that we will get this one built. I can only reiterate what Julio just said. If not as in architecture, it makes sense that the more level your playing field is and the more competitors you have, the more competitive an outcome you will get. So we have, during the second time the project was bid with the financial option, 3 different contractors approached us and indicated that they were discouraged for that clause. And perhaps they felt that the winning bid would be the one that would offer a financial option. I mean, that's not for me really to say. But the fact is that several of the contractors that had bidded in '09 the first time around approached me or us and indicated that. So again, in my personal opinion and professional opinion, you can only be more competitive if you in fact clean up the rules of the bidding game this time and strictly focus it on people whose business is to build buildings, which is what you need.
Let me ask 2 questions to the manager or whomever. What is the value, what's the percentage of local preference?
15%.
So a local, this is a $23 million project, and a local vendor gets a 15% preference?
Correct.
Okay, that's pretty substantial. I guess the other question is regards to the process.
So a $20 million project would be $3 million swing.
So the local gets a $3 million advantage on a 20, okay. The next question would be as to the process. I guess the value of what's been rendered is high based on where we are today. Maybe it was appropriate at the time when this was all put together and drafted, but today I don't think we can justify $20+ million, $25 million, and generally they end up with cost overruns as well. So there's usually that. So in the middle of this process, can you go and value engineer right now? I guess, is that a legal question? With the RFP, does that give someone an advantage or a disadvantage?
Well, once you choose a successful proposer, I think that you can then value engineer with that proposer as part of the negotiating process. But yes.
So it would be acceptable upon the time you choose, or there is a chosen
after the bids are, after you've chosen a proposer. If that proposer has suggestions as to how we can lower the price of the building, that would be appropriate thing to do.
Okay.
After you've chosen the proposer.
After the okay. Questions from council? What's there? On the heels of the last meeting, I guess there was some concern about, I guess you just have to say, the former mayor's involvement in that. Does that have any effect on this as a question? Is that an inappropriate question?
I'd rather not comment.
Okay, okay. We need some oh, I'm sorry, sir. Excuse me. I didn't see you walk up.
Mr. Mayor, Council, if I just can highlight one more thing. Joe Fernandez, 6201 Southwest 70th Street, Miami, Florida. The project that was put out to bid in 2009 was the same identical project that was put out to bid in 2013. There was no change to the drawings. There was no modifications to the drawings. The costs that you got in 2013 are viable costs. You have 5 competitive bids that are within range of one another. There's not one bidder that's $19 million and everybody else is 22, 26, 28, and 30. The bids are comprised or grouped together very tightly. Scoring is what changes the altercation of how the results are for the final outcome. The points that were allocated because this bid did have a package, a questionnaire that needed to be answered and those questions and the answers were part of a grading scale. So the city does not take into account that it has to modify the city hall. It has to take into account some alterations to finishes, to how the systems are put together, to the requirements that it has within the structure of the building. The price is ultimately going to always be higher. It's always going to be higher. It's never going to get, you can add another 15 contractors. If you think a contractor that's not local, that's coming from northern Florida, from Jacksonville, is going to be more effective in knowing the local market than a contractor from South Florida, which is what you have here today. It's going to be hard to beat somebody in their own backyard. Home field advantage. I don't think by reducing the local preference is it going to modify it. I don't think by throwing out all the bids is it going to modify your result. I think in my opinion, what needs to happen is you need to select a contractor, you need to enter into negotiations with a contractor, and you need to get within a budget. That can be done after a selection process. It's not gonna resolve your problem by simply throwing out all your bids at this point in time and saying we're gonna put it out again, and might get 10 contractors. But if the other 5 that you add to the list, not South Florida, your price is not gonna improve. If you don't change your program, your price is not gonna improve. But you have drawn in your document, have a specific set of requirements with a specific set of specifications, and the price that is generated is based on those demands. So I asked the mayor and the commission to take that into consideration before it makes its decision. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name's Albert Miranda. I live at 2112 Northeast 38th Road here in Homestead, Florida. Here on behalf of myself as a resident and my family, as well as I'm part of the construction team on the Blue Network submission, which is a valid submission that we turned in. I feel that following what was previously said by the previous person, the construction world decisions are critical. The commission is tasked today and the mayor with making a decision to start a process and to keep it going. Anytime you delay a construction project, whether it's at the beginning, during, or at nearing completion, it's more time that could add either more money or more loss of revenue or more loss of production, both for the city and for its tenants. So I feel that, again, on behalf of the company that I work for, which is Moss Construction, and myself as a resident, I feel that this project has waited long enough. Decisions should be made. And I would really like to go on record letting you guys know that. Thank you.
Danny Munilla, on behalf of MCM one more time. I'd just like to make 2 quick comments in response to, I believe it was the architect's comments, that there were 18 submissions back in 2009. Again, like I said before, 2009 was a different time. People were bidding, people were underwater, and they were bidding at a loss just to keep their company afloat. That, in addition to the fact that prices have gone up because there's more construction, causes a huge difference in price at this point in time. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Let me get the vice mayor real quick before you speak.
Thank you, Mayor. We need to make a motion. First, we need to make a motion to extend.
Yes, we do.
All right, motion to extend the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
A quick question. I mean, I'm listening to what they're having to say, and you know what they say sounds reasonable, but to me, there's other than what you have also in the memo. You've got this memo that lays out all the grounds that we've all been discussing here, these issues that we've been discussing, but also it's not that easy because we don't have a clear-cut number 1 or number 2, as I understand it, because you have a number 1 which was scored a certain way, you have a number 2 or number 3, I'm not sure which one it is, that's now challenged whether or not number 1 is in fact a qualified bidder. So before you can even get to all the value engineering and all these things are being discussed by these contractors or these bidders, you first have to sort out this mess, and that is who is our number 1 bidder so that we can even get to the value engineering part. Because if we go with one, my understanding is we possibly face a lawsuit from the other. So at the end of the day, it's not really faster. The fastest way is in fact to do what we're proposing from staff, if I'm not understanding it right. Throw the bids out because we're not satisfied based on what the memo says in general. And then we don't have to worry about all the complications and everything that's going along on top. So I mean, you guys can clarify that for me, but that's as I understand it.
What I would say is this, is that we have received extensive correspondence from the number 2 bidder, questioning the qualifications of the number 1 bidder. We have, in conjunction with the manager's office, have not really done an analysis of all of that because we didn't really know where this was going. We didn't really feel like it was right to dedicate the resources to doing all that analysis. But I think, having said that, it's not that does complicate this process. And so if you decided to go with one or the other, then, that analysis would need to be done to see whether they're responsive, and then it would be subject to challenge one way or another. I'm not saying that it would happen, but we do have quite extensive correspondence dealing with the qualifications of the number 1 bidder.
And that's not the question you're asking tonight, to pick a bidder. The question we're asked tonight is to throw everything out.
Right. The recommendation from the staff tonight is to throw them out and to rebid the process with a more traditional bid process, where the issue of local preference in our ordinance is waived, and also what was in the original RFP, and this was done at the request of council, dealing with financing and financing options and those kind of things would also be removed from the, it would be really it would not be an RFP, it would be probably a straight
So as
bid.
long as they meet the criteria of being a qualified bidder, the lowest price wins. See, and that's really going to be the deciding factor of whether people want to bid or not, now that they know it's a level playing field, because under the previous scenario, the solicitation, you might not be the lowest price, but you could still end up getting the bid. And in the case of Manila, for example, they are the 3rd highest.
4th.
So, in price. So, and yet they're saying, please pick us. So it really it becomes more of a subjective process as opposed to a bid where price is. And just to remind everybody, we have roughly $17 million in cash for this project, and the bid is in the 25-26 range. So that cost issue is going to be an issue for us if we get, and I can't guarantee that going to a bid, and I can't guarantee that we're going to get a better price. I can't guarantee that we're going to get more than 5 bidders, but at least we did everything we possibly could to have this become a price-oriented competition. And then after that, we can decide on the value engineering, and the sooner we get the bid on the street, our goal would be to get a decision out of you to award a contract in late spring, so that we can start the groundbreaking by summer.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, first and foremost, the allegations that bidder number 2 in qualifications, bidder number 4 in pricing is alleging is that we are not a contractor by the state of Florida. We never said we were. We're a concessionaire. Our contractor is Moss & Associates, which meets all the qualifications of a contractor. Our proposal is a P3 that was signed by Governor Scott July 1st, actually was signed in May, effective July 1st, 2013. It is a PPP, public-private partnership, and we are the concessionaire. We are local. If Governor Scott would not have signed this, we would not have been able to go and essentially seek this type of P3s, alternative financing models. And because your RFP did call for an alternative financing model and/or a lump sum, if I recall correctly, we chose to submit as an alternative financing model / P3 structure. Blue Network as the concessionaire with the top 10 global bank, BBVA Compass, and Moss & Associates to build. We were the first to recognize that if value engineering would be applicable in this case, and it will be in the best interest of the city, hence save money. The $17 million you have in the bank, you can keep them. We have offered 100% financing. Comes out, if my memory serves me right, about $100,000 of lease back agreement a month. And that is after the 2 years of construction, which you will not have to pay anything back during those 2 years of construction. We have actually submitted a construction schedule of 15 months That's 3 months earlier, the substantial completion of 18 months. Now, having said all of that, the RFP did not give us any credit for being local preference other than the 15% city ordinance in terms of dollars. Not because we're women-owned, not because we're local minority, it just talked dollars. We were the lowest price. We were the best choice for the city. Your staff, your financial staff make the recommendation and actually gave us the biggest value for the city. So I'm asking, throwing this back into the, you know, into today's economy, where we have construction prices that have gone up, the interest, we had a hard time finding interest and really good numbers to put together because we wanted to make sure that we were not overpricing this and hence our numbers, our final numbers. So in terms of value engineering, in terms of local preference, women-owned, best contractor, Moss & Associate, that built the Marlin Stadium, that was named Contractor of the Year after building the Fort Lauderdale City Hall project. I think we have a good team here, and we are providing 100% financing. Again, MCM's allegations is we don't have a contractor license. Well, we do, and that's Moss & Associate. That's our team. We presented a proposal, a Blue Network, in association with Moss & Associates and BBVA Bank. I would ask if you consider that, please. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not here to debate the specifics of Blue Network or MCM and what will normally be a bid protest process that's typical throughout government bidding across this country. Vice Mayor Shelley, you had mentioned that with that bid protest, it would be just as long as going out to bid. That's simply, time-wise, is typically not true. In fact, a bid protest has a prescribed period. Mr. Manager, Mr. Attorney, I don't know if you want to go into that or if that's actually defined in the RFP itself, but that is a shorter process than you would believe. And again, I'm not here to argue the specifics. I believe MCM is the best and proven entity here. So we'll let the attorneys deal with that. But that process is relatively short compared to throwing it out, starting over. Lowest bid sounds great, but lowest bid from an unqualified contractor is only going to get you change orders and other things that you're very familiar with in other public projects. So the process that you have before you where your selection team looked at criteria of qualification, how many jobs they've done before, other public projects, that played into the selection process very well. And I submit to you, just somebody coming up with a low price, I mean, anybody could do that. It may be a difficult challenge for you in the future. So I would say allow your attorney to go forward with the process that you already have in hand, select the most responsive bidder, the lowest responsible bidder, and let's move forward. Again, progress, Homestead needs it.
One last comment. Bidding it again would lead to a lot of uncertainty. I'm sure that MCM may not want to bid it a third time. A lot of cost goes into these bids. You know, sometimes contractors spend, you know, upwards of $100,000. I don't know how much we spent for this bid in particular, but it's very likely that we spent $50,000 just preparing it. And to do that for a third time, now knowing that the budget is around $17 million, may be a reason not to bid this one again. And that's just something else for you guys to consider. If you guys want to throw it out, whether there's an argument between Blue and MCM as to who's the lowest responsive bidder, it would be much less costly for the city to go through a bid protest than to have to procure this, go through the procurement process all over again. So if you're thinking dollars, probably the best move for you guys is to move forward with this procurement and not throw out the bids, the proposals. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing so we can get back to the discussion, which is what you're asking, council. So at this particular point, can someone explain concierge, this concierge concept of how this bid takes place? Does anyone know enough about it? The number one bidder was a concessionaire, I'm sorry. Do you know about this process?
They've proposed basically, you would call it like a joint venture.
Joint venture.
Where they propose under the Blue Network, they have a contractor, they have a financing source, but for the purposes of the conversation, if you think about it as a joint venture, that's the way you should think about it. I mean, that's not technically, I'm not giving you technical, but in terms of trying to make a decision about this, that's what they've done.
That's what I thought. I've closed the public hearing, so, because that was just a question for me, because I thought that's what it was, is you go out and you get different entities that come together and jointly bid a project.
She's talking about doing it under a statutory framework, but for the purposes of you making a decision this evening, if you think about it as some sort of a joint venture. Now, I will tell you that questions have been raised about the way that joint venture and whether it meets the qualifications of the RFP, but for the purposes of understanding what they've proposed, it's a joint venture.
Okay, thank you. Anybody, comments, questions? Is there a motion at this particular point? Can we have a motion? Try a motion?
You need to do, Richard, somebody would need to make it. The next step would be a motion of some sort.
Would be a motion to accept staff, it's either a motion to accept staff's recommendation or...
Which is, number one, rejection of all proposals received under RFP number 2013302, resolicit of City Hall projects stipulating straight cost and qualifications with award to lowest responsible bidder, and 3, removal of local preference clause from solicitation requirements.
So so a motion would be to accept staff recommendation or in the other direction, some other motion.
So moved.
Okay, it's moved by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Through the Mayor, I just had one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Before. Is there a timeline on this if this agenda item passes?
Yes.
What is the timeline?
Jerry?
Because we don't have time to continue to wait.
Agreed.
Through the manager, Ms. Faircloth, we're looking to put the solicitation out by the end of January 31st, with having a proposal brought to council for approval in mid to late spring. So you're looking March, April, May timeframe.
Okay, there is a motion. Is there a second for approval of staff's recommendation to throw out all bids? That's what we're asking.
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Maldonado,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough,
Yes.
Councilman Burgess,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley,
Yes.
Mayor Porter.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Tab 25. Sorry, we did that. Thank goodness. 27, I'm sorry.
27, yes. This is resolution is tab 27. Is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, accepting the proposal Leisure and Recreation Concepts, Inc. for the completion of a master plan study for an iconic attraction in the Homestead downtown area, waiving competitive bidding in accordance with Section 2-411.1A2 of the City Code of Ordinances, providing for implementation, providing for an effective date.
Is there a report from staff?
Yes, Mayor. On March 20th, 2013, City Council commissioned an economic feasibility study for an iconic attraction downtown. LAR concluded that an iconic attraction downtown is economically feasible. The completed study is attached. The master plan study will be completed in 120 days from execution of the agreement. The study's findings will be presented to the council for its consideration. Staff recommends the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Leisure and Recreation Concepts, LARC, for consulting services regarding a master plan study that will include a traffic flow plan, a phasing plan, storyboards, and a more detailed construction cost analysis for an iconic attraction downtown. Contract cost is $32,000.
Questions from council? This is a public hearing. We'll take comments from the public at this point.
Timothy L. Craig, 1865 Southeast 20th Avenue.
For identification purposes only, I'm the chairman of the Tourism Advisory Committee for the city. I'm this vice chairman of the Centennial Steering Committee for the city. I'm also the community liaison for the community of Keysgate. I have had the opportunity to observe the presentation by Lark and Mr. Jenkins and his associates. I was very, very impressed by that. I fully support this resolution. Mr. Jenkins and his team have a remarkable track record. Their past achievements speak for themselves, and at the appropriate time, I would like to get the support of both my committees and my community. But I commend the city attorney, the city manager, and the city council for initially approving the funds to support this feasibility study, and I urge you to support the continuation. I think it'd be a great attraction for this city. I also think it'd be the only thing you can see besides the hospital from the turnpike, and I think it'll bring tourists and other people here, as well as providing a lot of jobs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and City staff. My name is Rosa Brito. I am the president of the Homestead, Florida City Chamber of Commerce. And I've stayed up all night just to get to this item on your agenda, and I'll just make it pretty brief. I'm here representing the Chamber of Commerce, and we fully support the development of the iconic attraction / sky observation tower. We got an opportunity to look at the project when it was presented to the council, and believe that this project will revitalize the downtown district and become the catalyst that will bring forth economic development and growth to the city. So I fully support this project, and I am speaking on behalf of the Homestead, Florida City Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick comment. I support this as well. I'm very excited about the concept and about the potential of this project, especially to complete this feasibility study, get the rest of the facts that we need to make a decision. But I also think it's important that people realize that this isn't a standalone project, that it's not put this one project downtown and hope everything happens. That this is part of a bigger plan, part of the City Hall project we just discussed. So with the City Hall going downtown, an iconic attraction going down, we voted last meeting to do a feasibility study for the Seminole Theater. And so you have 3 possible major projects that all come online close to being at the same time. So this isn't a standalone project. This is part of a bigger plan. There's also the downtown master plan that is being simultaneously moved forward, which takes into account, the long-term future vision of the downtown city of Homestead. And so all of this kind of meshes together. So this isn't kind of piecemeal. This is something part of a larger plan. I just think it's important that people realize that moving forward. So that's all I had there.
I see no one else from the public. I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council?
Yes, sir, if I could. Thank you, Mayor. No, I just want to say I think that this is a great project for the city to take on downtown as we look at revitalization, and everybody keeps saying that word. I believe that this is the type of project that will do that to downtown. And I believe everybody, Mayor, I think you were privy to the show that the gentleman brought to us and put on, and the ideas that he has to go with it are going to bring many, many great things downtown, I think, in the long run. So I just think that this is what a shot in the arm, or whatever you want to call it, is what's needed downtown to get things moving, and I'm very excited about it. And thanks to Rick and his staff for all the work they've done on it, too, as we move forward.
To the mayor.
Yes,
I too support an iconic attraction coming to the city, in particular in downtown. When I sat in the presentation, I'm not sure that I'm completely sold with the tower concept, because rising up to the tower, what are they looking at? What is it to see? So I'm not 100% sold on the tower concept, but I'm not allowing that to sink the ship. I would support moving forward with the next study and see what that yields, but I'm not 100% sold on that tower.
Fair enough. Anything else from council?
Just a final comment. It's kind of funny to see that after we had that presentation in one of the local newspapers, seems like the city of Miami or somewhere in Miami-Dade County, they proposed somewhat of a similar tower that overlooks, and it happened to be about 500 feet tall. So it was kind of a reassuring feeling that what we were proposed an idea, was actually being done as well on the other end of the county. So I'm kind of looking forward to this, and I would definitely like to have some interjection on the next phase, because I think my colleague brings a valid point, is that once we get to the top, and I love to see I can see Miami, it's nice to see, but I think when we get to the top, hopefully we could do something to enhance the view, even though that view should be nice. So, but nonetheless, I look forward to it.
And part of the process, in addition to the master planning, will be to try to get some aerials at that height, and also at some point maybe a field trip. There's a tower somewhere in Texas, so we may want to go and.
You said field trip?
Field trip, yeah, field trip.
Texas?
Yeah, Texas.
All
And
right.
so you'll have all the information you can before, and then by that time also we'll have a better idea of whether there's an investor out there, because obviously we're looking to do a public-private venture with this.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
Second.
It's properly moved and second. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 28.
28 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the building permit and related services fee schedule in order to provide for fees for the implementation of the City Public Safety Radio Protection Program, providing for enforcement and providing for an effective date.
Move it. Staff report.
Sir, we recommend that the mayor and council approve the proposed resolution amending the building permit and related fee schedule as it pertains to the applications and permits associated with the implementation of the proposed public safety radio protection program that we just approved a couple of moments ago. This provides amendments to the building permit and related services fee schedule to include permit fees, the initial testing, annual recertification of new buildings, or those which apply for substantial improvements designed to be used for commercial, multifamily, or institutional use over 40,000 square feet.
Questions from council? This is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments? Is there a motion?
Move it. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any final comments from the council? Roll call.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley? Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Tab 29.
29 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, declaring certain personal property owned by the City of Homestead to be surplus property and authorizing the city manager to provide for the sale or disposition of such property in accordance with Section 2-440 City Code, providing for an effective date.
Staff report, quick.
Mayor, staff recommends the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing city manager to transfer ownership via quitclaim deed of the following dogs to their handlers as listed.
Any discussion from council? This is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Any final comments? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any final comments? Roll call.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Porter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Any reports from staff?
Mayor, just wanted to remind everybody that Friday we're having the employee luncheon at Champions Club at the track, and we'd love to have you all there if you have the time, and the hours are 12 to 2. We're all invited, and we'd love to see everybody.
Business from the manager, from the attorney? Mr. Williams?
Yes. I was on the opposing side. I don't know if you need to recuse yourself, Mayor Porter. This is about the bowling alley again.
Excuse me,
But-
are you going to make what we motion on what we discussed? It shouldn't be done under your report. It should just be done before we get to the council reports, just to be the prior time.
Well,
So
why didn't you tell me that before?
I didn't know when you were going to do it.
Well, now I'm doing it.
Okay.
Now,
All right, Mr. Mayor, what I would suggest is that we go back to back to the attorney's report, and so that Council Williams can make his motion outside of the council report section.
Okay.
So that way his motion would be in order.
Okay, so we will go back to the attorney this
Right.
time.
So I have no report.
You have no report.
Now, Council.
now
And I should...
Yes.
well, I just want to, I don't want the bowling alley to die, and I know, my fellow councilwoman, was asking for it, and, we didn't come to some consensus. But I like to motion to reconsider and proffer 45 days instead of, not 90 days for the RFP, if you will be amendable to that.
So the proper motion is a motion to reconsider.
Right.
Requires a second, and then once the motion to reconsider passes, then we can have then the item is back on the floor, and an alternate motion on the 45 days would be in order.
Okay.
So there needs a second to his motion to reconsider.
But still with the exact same thing, if I could, Mr. Vice Mayor. So it's still the same motion she made, strictly a bowling alley.
Right.
45 days out instead of a 90-day period.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So at this time, we're doing a motion
To reconsider, just to put it back on the floor.
Okay.
It's been moved and seconded, so you can just vote on that.
I second it.
So who
I'll
seconded
second
it? Councilman Maldonado?
Torch-
It was seconded by Councilman Burgess.
Mr. Manager?
No, he didn't
No,
second
second
it.
it.
He didn't
Just
second it. He
needs-
just
So you
asked for
didn't second it?
clarification.
Okay.
We just have a staff concern on the time frame.
Not there yet. We're not there yet. We need to
through-
get it back on the floor, so we could just vote on the
Yes,
motion for
okay,
reconsider.
so we have a motion by Councilman Williams, a second by Councilman Maldonado. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
No.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
No.
Motion carries.
So now we're back on the original motion that was
Right.
made by Councilwoman Faircloth McCormick, which is for
Well,
a...
actually, her motion, it's as if her motion hadn't been made.
Okay.
So the floor is open for a motion on this item now.
So I move that, that we do an RFP, for, 45 days instead of for 45 days.
If I could just point of clarification.
Okay.
I just don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, and I'd prefer to try to achieve what you're looking for, but without an absolute 45 days, because Jerry's got a concern. I think we can try to shave
60
some-
days, would it be a
Jerry,
problem in
what's-
60 days?
Through the manager, Mr. Williams, right now, we just got the City Hall RFP that we have to work on, plus other solicitations that are already in the pipe. Obviously, these would have priority over the other solicitations. But to do a fair and thorough solicitation for you, I would prefer 90 days, sir, please.
Well, we'll have
Remember-
our commitment to try to get it done faster, but I
Okay.
would say, just give us a
Well, I
little
just
more.
don't want it, the bowling alley to
I understand.
die, and then I do respect my colleague and her concern, and do want a bowling alley, so I didn't want it, because at that point it would have, other items could have came up, and that would not probably been a bowling alley. Okay. I'm amenable to that. without
I'm
losing
sorry,
it.
Mr. Williams, I
I
didn't...
say I'm amenable to that. I just don't want to lose the idea. And my colleagues only asking for 90 days, then
We will accommodate you, sir.
Do we have a motion on the floor? Councilman Williams' motion is for an RFP for 90 days.
A second.
Do we have a second? Councilwoman Faircloth,
Yes,
a
a
second?
second. I
Okay.
agree.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Williams?
yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
No.
Councilman Maldonado?
No.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
No.
Motion fails.
You can ask.
We're back at zero.
We're back at the same place
Yeah.
we were before, same direction, seat at the cow in a wide open format.
Call the mayor back in.
reports for mayor and council. Councilman Williams?
I'm done.
Councilwoman Faircloth?
Yes, I'd just like to wish staff a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Enjoy the time with your families. This has probably been a tough year for all of us. I'm looking forward to resting and relaxing with my family, so I just want you to enjoy yours. So God bless you all. I look forward to seeing you in 2014.
Councilman Walmsley, Councilman Burgess?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just to reiterate what we spoke about earlier tonight, make sure we get staff to form some sort of letter for animal services as soon as we can. Remember, if anybody's interested in adopting a family through the Chapman Partnership, they can still do it. Just call out there to the Chapman Partnership. They've got plenty of families that are looking for help this year, if anybody's able to help them. Lastly, it's with pleasure that I'll let everybody know, after probably a 2.5-year battle, we've got a bill that's been filed in Tallahassee through Senator Gwen Margolis and Jose Felix Diaz on both sides of the bodies up there, to help try to see if we can alleviate the ad valorem tax issue that the city's been dealing with for years and years. Mayor Porter started the battle many years ago, and so even if the bill doesn't succeed, we've opened the door to bring it to the attention of everybody up in Tallahassee that there is a problem. I believe we do have a great potential to succeed. It's been crafted and sent forward, so I just want to let the people know that we may be needing some help out there to go and testify before different committees as it comes about. So thank you, and I wish everybody a happy holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Maldonado?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one announcement. Tomorrow we have the relay kickoff celebration at the Waterstone 2 Clubhouse from 7 to 9. And if you have some time and would be able to join us, I would greatly appreciate it. And I think it's going to be a good year for the Relay for Life. We're working hard to reestablish this. And like I said, the importance of it and for the American Cancer Society and what Relay does, hits home with me, obviously, but nonetheless, I know we still have a long way to go to conquer this, and it's a shame that we continue to hear time and time again how so many families are affected. And so I think this is something that we could continue to do, and like I said, I would just ask my colleagues if they could join us tomorrow. I would greatly appreciate it. Other than that, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. It's been a long but good year, and so I'll see you guys next year if anything.
Vice Mayor?
Just one quick item, then I'm going to yield the remainder of my time to Councilman Burgess, who forgot something. I've been getting questions regarding this truck bypass route and the median that's supposed to go in the middle of Chrome Avenue and Royal Palms that are going to be taken down or moved. I know that I've spoken with Julio about this issue. We're trying to get clarification from FDOT as far as what the plan actually is going to be, how it came about, where we get involved in the process to render our opinion on whether there should be a median or not a median, and what they're going to do with these palms. I have requested a meeting with Julio and FDOT to try to get some clarification, but then I'd like to, once I get some clarification, put it on the council agenda to have us all weigh in on, to kind of get an idea of what we want before FDOT gets so far down the line that by the time it comes back to us, it's too late to make changes, or we're starting the process and losing time. So that's just something I want to put out there and bring to y'all's attention, and ask for permission to do that, maybe put it on the January committee of the whole as a discussion item, because I would like to get clarification and direction from you once we get some sort of clarification from FDOT. And I'll yield the rest of my time back to the council.
If you don't mind, just a question. I just want to ask if there was any representatives from the city, whether from the council or staff, that was at the meeting that they had?
They did have a public workshop. I was not present. I know I had a conflict. Do you know if any of any members from staff or any other council people went?
Maybe I would just interject, maybe if we could have someone from staff, through the city manager, through the mayor, attend these meetings, and so that they could report what they hear from there. I don't know if they already have minutes and they could submit to us, and then we could review it, but nonetheless, if we could have an ear at the next meeting, I think that'd be great. I think we all would like to attend, and for one reason or another, we weren't able to make it, so just thank you.
Thank you, and I'll yield my time.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just forgot, everybody should be receiving a solid waste magnet for the refrigerator again this year. If they haven't gotten it, it'll be out, it will be at your home soon. I know that the citizens thought they were very helpful. I want to thank staff for once again supplying these and getting them out in a timely manner before the year starts. I think they've been a tremendous help for all the residents, so thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Sure. I'd like to wish everybody happy holidays, obviously, first and foremost. You gave up your time, you can't go back. And I would like to ask the Vice Mayor, you know, we've had some conversations with regards to Art South and finding a home, and I had spoken to someone who represents the strip mall in the villages of Homestead. They may have some vacancies, and I'd like for you, if at all possible, since you've been the liaison, to maybe get with the chief and see if there's some possible way that you could facilitate some sort of opportunity there. So would you speak to the chief and see if you can interject? Yes, sir.
I know Art South has to be out of their facility by the end of the year, by December 31st. What do you need, manager, to give any direction from council on this issue as far as trying to help facilitate any type of arrangement, I guess that's being proposed over the shopping center? What do you need from us, or is there anything we can give you direction on to at least start the wheels in motion to maybe try to make it by the end of the year?
Keith?
Well, if they're willing to give Art South space and they want us to be a part of the building, community policing, which is no big deal at all, we would love to get involved in that, because it's just, I mean, we can have a place just to go and write a report, or just to go and maybe store some of our equipment. Whatever we need to do to assist them with that, I have no problem with it. We've done it before in the past. We've had it in Homestead Shopping Plaza, and we also had it at the villages of Homestead, and we had it over at Waterstone. So whatever we need to do to make that work, I have no problem with that. It's easy. It will be helpful to us, because we can always use the eyes and ears in that community, and also give the community of a sense of security if we're somewhere around that shopping center.
If I may, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, go, because if you can clarify what the proposal was, so we.
Well, it was a concept. It wasn't a proposal, but it was a concept. The community, the mall area is looking for. They've been asking for years for a community policing facility. The question would be, could we cohabitate a vacant area in the strip mall? What would the process be? Obviously, there would have to be buy-in from the strip mall, but would be basically the front part maybe be the community policing, and possibly in the back area have the Art South office structure is basically all it would be. So I don't know if all that would work, but the only way to do anything about it is just ask the question.
If you really want to have this consummated before the end of the year, I think we need some authorization for the city manager to negotiate a lease, as long as there's no cost to the city, and then we can get a ratification from you after the end of the year. Assuming that's what you're interested in doing, then start the process.
Vice Mayor.
And a clarification, so my understanding of what you explained concept-wise is that the community policing would occupy the front facade of this space, with Art South being allowed to occupy some office space behind it. Is that?
That was the concept, obviously subject to the approval of the strip mall owner, but they want a community policing effort there. And the question would be, would they allow us to do both?
And so you would need authorization from the council to negotiate not only for our community policing department, but also then to allow the tag-along not-for-profit Art South also as part of that lease?
Also recognizing that the details are important, such as I don't necessarily want to be required to have an officer there in the building. There's certain things that we'd need to really work out and make sure that we're not obligated to provide space to the Art South in the event we don't need that office anymore. There's certain things we're going to need a sublease with Art South, so there's a bunch of things that we're going to have to do. But if you authorize me to negotiate that and have an approval after the fact, then we could do it.
Okay. So then,
any questions from council on the concept?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's some legwork to do, because I need to speak with Art South. I guess I'll speak with the chief, and then staff also speak with this shopping mall owner. But I mean, I guess rather than having ratification on the back end, because that makes me uncomfortable not knowing what you're going to negotiate.
It should
So
make you uncomfortable.
what I would prefer is giving you authorization to start the process, negotiate the lease, talk with the shopping mall owner, whoever it might be. And if something gets worked out between now and the 31st, there's always a potential to try to get a special call or something done, or at least the first of the year, so that maybe they just have to live out of storage for a week or two. But that's more, I'm not comfortable with myself personally with ratification of something that I haven't seen.
Can I ask, what is the, I understand the problem with the current space is that he's charging them rent, and they don't have the money to pay their rent. How much is the rent for a month? Pardon?
Yeah, I don't know, because the original, I believe the original proposal, as I understood it, was for like $15,000 or $16,000 a month, and then I think there was an agreement to say, no, stay at the current rate of rent, which was closer to maybe $6,000 or $8,000 a month. So I don't know what the rent actually is at this point. You'd have to ask Art South what their deal is with their landlord, if they've had any communication. So the problem is that they were told, and they agreed to be out by December 31st from their landlord in exchange for what was proposed as a moving bonus of some kind, and they want to make sure they meet that 31st date so that they can get their moving bonus.
Question. This is concept first. I mean, are we going to work out an agreement with our police department for community center and then possibly?
Well, I mean, the timeline is very concerning only in that we're getting through the holidays. You know, there's a lot here to be done, but we'll do the best we can. I just don't, realistically, I don't know. It requires a special meeting. You know, maybe yes, maybe no. It depends on how long it takes. Have people going away, and you know, there's a lot of complication here. So,
let me just say, it was just the pressure was to try to help Art South, right? And so through the conversation with some people in the community that have vacant space, the question was proposed. I mean, the question is being proposed.
And one thing that could expedite the process is if the shopping center owner is willing to have them in the building, then they could go in there the first month or something, make an arrangement with them, and then once we get our deal done, you know, if the shopping center is willing to do that. I'm not really sure I understand the linkage between our police department and Art South. If they want to allow Art Spouse to share some space, they could do that with them tomorrow.
Is Art South prepared to go into storage for a month? Is that sort of what their current plan is?
I believe they're supposed to be trying to move their stuff into storage. I think they've worked with a local storage company to lower price or lower rent. I think the Rotary Club's also willing to help with some of those moving expenses. But I don't know that they can operate their programming out of necessarily the storage, although we're in the holidays, so probably not much is going to happen. But I would say within the first couple of weeks of January at latest, if it's going to work, that would be the...
And one thing the shopping center could do is allow them, even without a lease, just go in there and store their stuff, set up shop, whatever they're willing to do. That'll give us an opportunity to make this thing, you know, something that works.
I think we've set a special call to be held in conjunction with the cow for the other item that we were talking about, for the 14th. And so that's the right way to do this, which is to have the agreement with the shopping center in place, having a sublease with Art South in place, having insurance in place. That's really the right way to do this.
Assuming the shopping center owner is willing to do that. If not, then we'll try to think of something else. Anything is possible. I just don't, want to get us into trouble because we made a mistake at the last minute.
Yeah, and certainly I'm not asking that. I'm just offering up, an option because the pressure was applied. Obviously, they were under duress to try to get something done. So it was just...
Yeah, my suggestion, we understand what you want to get accomplished. I think we need to go to work on it and see what we can get done. Well, if Councilman Shelley or Vice Mayor Shelley could sort of act as the coordinator with Art South. We're not going to know what we're going to be able to get done until we start to speak to people and if we need a special call, then we'll try to do it. If not, we'll try to figure out something for them to do for the 2-week period to the 14th, and we can have a special call in conjunction with the COW meeting.
And can you provide to me the contact information for the particular
yes, sir.
Shopping center and some of that? Okay,
sure will. Okay, enough of that. Final comment, I just want to say thank you, Mr. Burgess, for the proclamation, the picture. That's be the only thing I have on the wall, so thank you very much. I've got a bunch of books on the top of the desk. Come on. Well, anyway, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Very nice. That's all for me. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.